Hey guys, Pie Guy Rules here with,
Shadow Streak.
and we are live.
We are.
Welcome back.
We are live. Okay, good.
I'm still alive, but barely breathing. uh,
Oh,
uh, welcome guys to the second stream soda. It's important to get the name of the show right, right?
yes. That is
uh,
important. We don't want to confuse people.
Yep, we're a little bit early. We're just gonna, be doing a little pre-show. Hi, how you guys doing? Does our audio sound good? All that sort of good stuff before we really get rolling here.
Yeah, just want to make sure that the stream is all right. So if you could let me know if the audio levels are good, if Pi needs turned up or if I need turned up or whatever, just let me know because I want to make sure everything sounds good before we begin.
Thoughts on the Looney Tunes cartoons? Well, my friend, that's what we're here to talk about later in the show.
Yeah.
I guess while we wait for official starting time to roll around and people to funnel in, why don't we just say hi to as many people in the chat that we see? So, hi,
Okay.
Epic Gamer 127 the Hedgehog.
Hi, Underfell. Sans, the edgy skeleton.
Hi, Epic Toy Series.
Hi, Marcos Games Brazil Player 2.
Hi, Demonic Trinity.
Hi, Darian.
This is great. I'm sure this is very entertaining for everyone.
Yes. Ooh, say me.
Hi, Shadow Streak. Oh no, you meant
Hi. Oh wait.
Hi.
Hi, Red.
Hi, all
Lotus.
the rest.
Pete of Dawn, Sponge Stare, Kybri 13-1, Kylie Bay.
Bye, Nintendo.
Oh. Dancing Gamer. What's your favorite dance move?
The funky chicken. You remember the Jimmy Neutron movie had the chicken dance?
The chicken dance. Oh my gosh, yes.
uh,
What was his name? Poltor? Was it? No, it wasn't Poltor.
the big chicken monster.
Yeah, what was that called?
It's some play on poultry.
It's something poultry. Yeah.
I want to say poltergust, but that's not. All right, so yeah, we're just here warming up, waiting another minute for everything to get rolling, and then we will run you down on what we're doing today on Stream Soda. Review
Poltra. It was Poltra. Thank you, Epic
review Ink Lemonade. Yeah, it's bad. It's gross. It's dumb.
10
Patrick annoying.
Solid review.
Squid didn't deserve it. Man. Okay. The Jimmy Neutron ride had it too. That's true. That's true. All right, so here we are, 4:00. Welcome everyone to Stream Soda officially beginning. So I'm Pie Guy Rules.
I'm Shadow Streak.
And this is iCarly. Wait.
5, 4, 3, 2.
I'm glad you remembered to not say one because that would have made me hurt.
That's always important. You can't say one. That's the rule.
Yep. It's real professional. That's how you knew Freddie knew what he was doing. Yep. Okay, so today on the show we are going to be doing a little bit of. We're going to talk about two shows that we've streamed this week, or a show and a movie. Just kind of some oddball picks here. We're going to talk about the news, which is mostly centered around HBO Max, but also a little bit about The Simpsons being in widescreen and just general, talk about entertainment in these times. And then we're going to get onto our feature discussions, which are going to be, we're going to do first Looney Tunes Cartoons, which is the official name. It has cartoons at the end. That's how you know it's not old Looney Tunes. And the Not Too Late Show with Elmo.
Exciting.
But before we really begin, we're going to remind you guys what this show is and kind of what the rules are and what we're doing here. So, Shadow.
Yeah, so Stream Soda is our live show in which we basically talk about streaming originals. That tends to be our primary subject, but we also talk about other things, just all around streaming. It's important to know that we are trying to do this weekly. Right now we have every Sunday, usually at 4 p.m. EST, yes. I saw we already got a super chat. We actually are answering the super chats at towards the end of the stream in the Q&A section. So anyone who gives us a super chat at any point during our discussions or whatnot, we'll make a log of it and then we'll come back and answer it after we finish our primary discussion.
Yes. So thank you, Gian Bailey, for the super chat. We'll answer that later.
Yes.
So, and
yes.
yeah, and just about chat interaction, we want to keep our discussion going and not have to stop every few seconds to answer something in the chat. But if you ask a question or mention something that is relevant to the topic that we are currently talking about, we will absolutely call you out and mention your point. You know, sometimes we'll ask questions to the chat and whatever. And if you have any questions or thoughts about random subjects, really anything at all, ask them at the end of the show in about an hour and 30, hour 40, something like that. So, yeah, that's about what we got going here.
I would like to go ahead and also plug that we have a Discord, well, a section in my Discord server for Stream Soda. So if you guys want to go ahead and join, feel free to click the link in the description of the live stream. It's currently located down there. In my server, there's a section dedicated to Stream Soda in which you can talk about the show, suggest future episode topics about something you may have seen on Netflix or Hulu or whatever that you think is worth talking about, all sorts of stuff. So feel free to join that if you are interested in that, because it's a fun time.
All right. So, getting right into it, both Shadow and I have been kind of busy this week, but we each managed to stream a thing, aside from the main things we're going to talk about later. And want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. Go for it.
So I've been streaming Hoarders. Yeah. Not the TLC version, which is Hoarding Buried Alive. That is the knockoff inferior version. I prefer classic Hoarders. Give me some A&E. And the show is entertaining and sad. It's about people with a disorder where they hoard objects and garbage and fill up their homes and make it so that their houses are unlivable and unsafe. And it's sad, it's dramatic, but it's really interesting and fascinating to see from a production standpoint, like how they get all these shots of these houses and how the cameramen move in and out of these homes. But yeah, no, it's if you like interesting documentary type reality shows, Hoarders is one of them. It can be sad, but often it can be very uplifting where a community comes together to help the Hoarders clean out their homes, and the Hoarders sometimes make real breakthroughs in their mental health, and that's really good. But yeah, I also want to talk about it a little bit because I watched it on the A&E app. I casted it to my Chromecast, and it actually was pretty good as far as those things go. I don't know if you'd call these like streaming services, probably not, but like, you know, every single network under the sun has their own app and you can watch stuff on there, sometimes for free, sometimes if you put in a cable provider. And sometimes these apps are really buggy and annoying. Sometimes they play the same commercials over and over again. But honestly, it worked pretty fine. So if you have anything to watch on A&E, there you go. All right, throwing it over to Shadow.
All right, so I also haven't had much time to stream a lot this week, but I did manage to find some time to watch Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark on Netflix in ultra high quality, which is crazy because I have not seen that movie in probably about 10 years, and I remember watching it on a DVD back on like a standard definition television. So I have not seen that movie in a long time. It still holds up. It's really good. I mean, there's a reason it's still considered a very famous pop culture classic. It looks great on Netflix. I think the quality is outstanding. It's actually funny because while watching this, I actually figured out a reference that is made to Indiana Jones in Powerpuff Girls.
How long are we, guys? We're 6 minutes in. We're gonna start a new little tally where we see how long it is before Shadow mentions the Powerpuff Girls on Stream Soda.
Well, I can assure you that in the episode Aspirations, it's the episode where Sedusa comes back in season 6 from the Gangrene Gang helper. when she gets all three of the Egyptian artifacts that gives her like the superpowers and whatnot, she her hair becomes asps, and
Excuse
Bubbles
me?
goes asps, asps, asps,
Can you say that on here?
asps. I'm gonna keep saying it all I want. Asps.
I don't. Please just stop. It's just a weird sounding word.
No.
I don't like it.
It is a weird sounding word, but she says asps, very dangerous. And I was like, why does, like, it never really registered with me. But while I was watching the movie, there's the moment where Indy and his one friend with the beard are looking into the tomb where the Lost Ark is hidden. And they look down and Indy goes, snakes, why did it have to be snakes? And everyone knows that line. But then the guy next to him goes, asps, very dangerous. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never realized that. But that's so cool. Like I never would have thought that line from Bubbles was actually referencing Invaders of the Lost, or Raiders, not Invaders, Raiders of the Lost.
I'm also with
So,
Toon J.
that
Take a
was-
shot of soda whenever Shadow mentions PPG.
Yes.
Drink.
Yes. But yeah, it's a solid film.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen that movie, you gotta watch it. It's something definitely worth it.
Someone asked. Oh, Crossover Lord asks, "Do you guys think that Indiana Jones movies will ever be on Disney Plus?" I'm surprised it didn't come to Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Honestly,
I think it's probably because Disney doesn't have a good place to put them, in the sense that naturally they would kind of fit with Star Wars in the sense that it's like similar people that made. But you can't exactly put Indiana Jones under a Star Wars section.
Yeah, that's also
So
that's actually a good thing you mentioned that, because I noticed that they did something like Pirates of the Caribbean. Like they have 4 out of the 5 movies on there, but there's like not really a dedicated like all they
it's under the
have
Disney section
like-
probably, which is already so
Yeah.
bloated.
maybe.
No, dude, I mentioned
But-
this in my review that like Boy Meets World and The Simpsons and like there's various things. Avatar, not Nickelodeon one. There's no real good place. Like they don't have an other category.
Yeah.
They need an other category, and I think the solution right now is to just push this stuff hard on the front page, like either in the scroll at the top or just in some of the various categories they have on if you scroll down on the front page.
Well, I don't know if you noticed with some of those other things you mentioned. I think The Simpsons definitely has.
Oh, yeah.
this,
Simpsons is
but
heavily
what they
promoted.
what they did with the Pirates movies is they didn't have this for a good while. Like when I watched the first 3 pirate movies on Disney Plus, they did not have this, but they made a Pirates collection.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
they
the
have
collection.
like the Darth Vader collection.
That's
the
right.
the Iron Man collections, things like that. And they're starting to do that with those things. Like they definitely have the Simpsons collections for various.
Did you know they
things,
have
and-
a Guardians of the Galaxy collection? It
Really?
only showed up.
And what
hang
is
on.
that?
It
That's
only
just-
showed up for me after I watched Guardians of the Galaxy on Disney Plus. I kid you not.
Huh.
Um,
So you wouldn't have found it unless you already found it.
I guess, but it was advertising the Disney XD show and Guardians 2, and then like Avengers Endgame because Infinity War wasn't on there. So, also thank you Trash Manual for the super chat. Thanks for listening later.
Yeah, thank you. That's really interesting.
A Frozen collection is. Oh, I want to know. Hey,
They do.
Pete of Dawn or anyone, is Wreck-It Ralph 2 in the Frozen collection? Or that actually might not even be on Disney Plus yet. I can't remember.
Let me guess. It's Frozen 1, Frozen 2, Olaf's Frozen Adventure, and maybe like the making of Frozen 2
Maybe
or something,
like
and that's
the
like it.
episode of like what is it, like Disney Craft Time or whatever, or like Disney Fairy Tale Weddings that's like Frozen themed or something.
Yeah, probably. Like, I don't really think Frozen needs a collection, but
Okay, cool. Yeah, this week I don't know. We're gonna try to have more stuff that we streamed that actually relates to like cartoons and like more entertainment type stuff that we talk about. But yeah, this week was a weird week. So
yeah.
oh, that's right. Ralph Breaks the Internet's on Netflix. That's one of like 3 Disney animated canon films that is not on Disney Plus yet. But I so want it to be in the Frozen collection.
Yeah.
It is a Lego special apparently.
Oh, okay. I never would have thought of that, but
Yep. All right, so moving right along into like the news and notable topics. We'll start with the O Axis update since you keep asking about it, Epic Gamer. The big O Axis update is that Shadow and I realized that the last update that they made is not on O Axis's website. So the last update on O Axis's website is from October 2019. So
Yeah. They released an update like last month, but they didn't put it
they
on
just
their
emailed
website.
it out.
They just, yeah.
So
Oh my
whoops.
gosh. So
Sorry,
that's
September
exciting.
2019, not even October. Excuse me. So that's the update is that he forgot to update.
Yep.
All right. Do you want to do HBO Max up front or?
I think we should do that one
All right.
last, and that way we can transition into the
So there's
originals.
really not much going on in the world of streaming outside of HBO Max this week. The big thing is that The Simpsons finally got their widescreen scroller or slider, excuse me, and that as was teased last week. So, what do you think, as someone who doesn't watch The Simpsons, Shadow?
I mean, it's good that they finally implemented the
Mm-hmm.
feature. It took long
Yep.
enough.
I mean,
I think it's a little weird that it's kind of like out of the way to get to.
yeah,
Like, I don't know, like, I mean, I guess it helps that, like, obviously social media exists to inform people, but I don't think there's anything on the service itself that says, hey, check out this little knob over
but
here. And
the thing is that like I don't know, anyone who would care would already know probably because a
Mhm.
lot of people would rather watch it in widescreen and don't care. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I don't think there's any need to shame people for their preferences. Um so yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. If you care enough to be bothered by it, you've probably heard by now. It would be nice if it was in a little more of a noticeable place because basically if you go on the Simpsons page, it's under details. So, and
Mhm.
then it says remastered aspect ratio. Luckily, it remembers. This was something that was a big issue with Simpsons World when FXX had it, where you would change the aspect ratio and then it wouldn't remember. So it would play like the next episode in the wrong definition. Um, so yeah, no, with the
Hmm.
older Simpsons being in widescreen, honestly, they did a good job for what it is. If you're going to crop
Yeah.
it, the way they did it was it's very good. It's smart. It's not just that they like cut off the two sides. They did like a little bit of stretching, a little bit of cropping. I think they cropped like in certain ways. Maybe they used an algorithm or something. Um, for what it is, if you don't mind that you're missing a little bit of the content or not watching it in its original form, I don't think you'd be bothered by it. It's not a really egregious form of cropping for the most part. There are some things like what I showed off in my Disney Plus review, like at the end of the very first episode, where the characters, everything looks so ridiculously stretched. And when you put it side by side with the corrected version, you look at it and you're like, this looks ridiculous. Like these characters look like 2 times, 3 times wider than they should be. Like their width to height ratio is bizarre. But yeah, so better late than never. I'm glad it remembers it, or at least it seems to remember it from my experience with it. Um, and they fulfilled their promise. They didn't do anything sneaky, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like they really have that much of an agenda. I think FXX had their agenda because they spent all this time quote remastering, cropping and cleaning up. I believe the footage. I think they did that. That I think that they had their agenda to push it to justify the fact that they did that. But Disney Plus, I don't think they have that. They don't think they care. So I
No.
think they just put it on there because they didn't want to go through the trouble of putting it on twice. I think, or implementing a way to change it, and they just stuck with you know, the option that was most
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right
Yeah,
about
and,
that.
and you're right, Pete of Dawn. We need them to fix other shows. Well, the episode order thing is a big problem. But the other thing I want to note is that I went and checked, and shows like The Little Mermaid are still cropped, and they do not have an option to uncrop. So now that they have the feature, it'd be nice to see them use it. I hope that it's not just like, well, The Simpsons is a huge property for them, so that's all they do with it. But I'm a little
Mhm.
afraid that's probably what they're going to end up doing. Um, but whatever. I mean, it's the main one that matters. I'd like to watch Goof Troop in its original form, but
Yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring up is like now that they've done it for The Simpsons, do you think they will
No,
do it for
no,
these
no.
other shows? Because the only people or the only show that really people were complaining about was The
It's
Simpsons.
only a
So
handful of the older shows. The episode order thing is
yeah.
a much bigger issue that affects much more shows, and has a
Hmm.
really negative effect if you catch it the wrong way. And the other thing is like I don't know when they remastered or zoomed in on Little Mermaid the show. It could have been years and years ago. They might not have the other like the the uncropped versions convenient. Like I'm not saying they lost the footage or anything, but like it might
Hmm.
not be sitting on a hard drive. It might be sitting in a vault somewhere. Um, so Goof Troop and Rescue Rangers are for 3 on iTunes. Yeah, see, that's nice.
Hmm.
So they do exist at least for those shows. Um, also Disney came out with Zenimation. I don't did we talk about this last week?
I don't think we
No.
did.
It's interesting. It seems to be like these weird amalgams of it's the kind of like music ambiance music videos featuring iconic Disney scenes with minimal talking.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
it's not anything I particularly care about, but I could definitely see people putting it on in the background while working or putting it on for their young kids or whatever, or like, on a car ride or something. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw that when I was browsing through Disney Plus. It looked like, are they music
Kind
videos
of.
or
It's
like?
like ambient
Okay.
sound music videos.
Okay. Huh.
Like
Interesting.
I think honestly, I think that came about just because of the COVID situation and production being halted and slowed on certain things. So basically, just
Okay.
editing together existing Disney content is a way to help fill
Hmm.
out the library and make it not seem so bad. Also, like a justification, it's a stressful time for everyone, so here's enjoy some Zen.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah,
I might check that out
yep.
later.
Um, okay, so that's like the Disney Plus section of the news.
Yep.
So let's get on to talking about HBO Max.
Okay. So, I don't know about you, but I have quite a lot to say about HBO Max.
Yeah, I do too.
Right. Okay. Right off the bat, it's all right. I think it's all right. I've seen mixed reception for this service. I've seen a lot of positivity. I've seen a lot of negativity. I think, and I'm sure you'd agree with me on this, I think that this service's launch was definitely affected by the quarantine
Yes.
situation over the past 2 months. Because, it feels like they even advertise the service as having so many things that are just missing. Not just like, I know a lot of people in our sphere of the internet are talking about like Ed and Eddie's not there, but Cartoon Network uploaded this trailer. Where's Kids Next Door? And that's missing. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure HBO Max was advertised with having The Matrix on there, and The Matrix is nowhere to be seen.
Sure about
I
that.
could be wrong about
See,
that.
I
I could
I
be
I
wrong, but I could have sworn they
I
did.
just I do want to reinforce that as of right now, the service just launched. It's been out for like 4 days.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and with the COVID situation, it affects things in ways that you might not realize. It's not like okay, they were gonna make a show, but 2 months ago they started production on a new season of something or other, and then they just didn't make it in time because that would have never come out in that time span anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is that there was a good few weeks, and especially in California. California is on super lockdown, where a lot of this sort of thing happens. People to set up things on these streaming services, there are contracts that have to be drawn up. There are someone's got to come up with like promotional images. Someone's got to put the episodes in order.
Yep.
Someone's got to upload the episodes, write descriptions, or take the descriptions from somewhere. Someone has to coordinate that with like social media. I'm not saying it's like a lot of hoops to jump through for content that's already made to be uploaded, but I am saying that this situation, people that had these jobs were out of work or maybe not even out of work, but were trying to figure, setting up the work from home thing, So I say give it a few weeks, and then if they don't have the stuff that's promised, I outrage completely. I completely
Hmm.
understand why people are upset. You know, they did promise this stuff, certainly. But I think that given the circumstances, I think it's fine that they missed out on a few things. It's also, it's frustrating for anyone who like pre-ordered specifically wanting to watch these shows, but like you're paying month to month. You don't have like you could wait until the shows that you want are on there.
Yes. The only downside with that is the HBO Max was running a pre-order deal for
Yeah,
$12 a month instead of 15 for the first year, and I jumped on that. And I'm not like I don't regret doing it. I'm still glad I got it for 12 instead of
yeah.
15 cuz 15 is on the higher end of streaming service prices. But for some people who were like, "Yeah, I'm going to get this and oh, I can't wait to watch and then it watch these things day one and it's not there." It would definitely be
It
disappointing.
makes
I think it would
sense.
sour your
It
attitude.
completely makes sense. I'm not begrudging anyone
Mhm.
who is disappointed.
Yeah, because if they're not getting what was advertised, of course you have a reason to be
Right.
upset. Because you feel lied to, even if it wasn't
Correct.
intentional. Like I don't think, and in this case, it's definitely not intentional that HBO Max doesn't have all of their content there yet. I think that, the greater circumstances made it unfortunately difficult for them, but they also didn't want to miss their launch
Right.
window. Um, so it's just kind of one of those things where I agree we should just give it some time because I mean even with Disney Plus, like Disney Plus's launch, I wouldn't say it was as problematic as this
No.
one, but it's
There were
still
there were major
people
bugs on
still
the
felt
first
like there was
day,
a lot,
crashing and
yeah,
stuff.
and people felt there was a lot of things people were expecting that weren't there yet. And it like I remember trying to load up Disney Plus the first day. I couldn't get it to work for like 4 hours. So whereas HBO Max, I booted it up that morning and it was there. So I at least didn't have this
Hmm.
one.
I had an issue where when I went to download it on my phone, I went to like the website and then it was like, hey, download now or whatever.
Hmm.
And it took me to HBO Go app, and I downloaded it
Oh.
and started looking at it, thinking it was HBO Max, and getting really disappointed and confused. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, and it's worth noting it's also not on certain platforms like Roku.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. It's not on Amazon, it's not on Roku, and it's not on certain TVs. I have a Samsung TV, and what they did, and they also did this for the Google Play Store, is they just turned the HBO Now app into HBO Max.
Yeah.
But like the problem that I think might have confused a lot of people, it confused me too, but I just installed it
Yeah.
anyways, was it still showed the HBO Now like
Mm.
imagery on the application. So I went to my TV and I searched HBO Max and HBO Now came up and I was like, "All right, well let me try launching this." So I did and like it showed the HBO Now image. I clicked on it, it started loading up, but then the HBO Max logo came up and it had me log in and everything was fine. So I think it might have been a little confusing for other people who might have been looking for HBO Max and had no idea that, oh, it was actually just HBO Now
Right.
the whole
Right.
time. And I think they could have done a better job at explaining that because I know even in the months leading up to this streaming service's launch, people were confused. They're like, well, is it different from HBO Go and HBO Now? Or like, is this, you know, are these streaming services going to merge into HBO Max or what? And just based on my experience with the TV and my phone app, I feel like yeah, HBO Now is definitely just turning into HBO Max. It's not like, they're just dropping one and bringing in the other. It's more of a transition type thing. Cuz I noticed there is on HBO Max, and this is a feature that I greatly appreciate about the service over like most other services. They have a last chance section where you can, you have a certain amount of time to watch these things that are on their service before they're gone
Well,
completely.
let's talk
Um,
about that because that's this is a big thing. You know,
mhm.
it's Netflix has a major rotating lineup, and that's because Netflix doesn't own anything aside from Netflix originals, which is it's a growing library. There's a lot of Netflix originals at this point, but
Yeah.
there's like a legitimate reason because Netflix has to pay for it year by year. They have contracts, and sometimes contract holders don't want to renew, even if Netflix is willing to pay more money. Um, with HBO Max, it's kind of a similar thing in some ways. They own a lot of the content, but there's movies and certain things that they do not
Mm-hmm.
own. And then there's
Yes.
also other things that they do own, like Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That's Warner owned, and Warner's, you know,
Yes.
subsidiary of Warner Media, blah 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 blah. Um, so there's no real reason that Teen Titans Go to the Movies has to leave HBO Max. So from what I understand,
Yes.
this is not a thing out of utility. This is a thing that they are specifically choosing to do, which might raise DVD sales or whatever, or it might pique interest because of fear of missing out. But I don't know. That's a bit of a negative, and the fact that they have it so
Mm-hmm.
prominently on their sidebar of categories is a positive and a negative. It's nice that I know what's going to leave, so if I want to watch it, I have a chance to. But it
Yep.
is also a bad feeling to see right away that one of the first things I saw when I launched this service is, oh, so stuff is gonna leave. Now,
Yeah.
just to set it all up, right now it's like maybe 30 movies, 40 movies, and it's all movies. There's no TV shows
Mm-hmm.
leaving. So I don't
Yes.
know what that says, but go Shadow.
So what I wanted to mention, and it's a little weird that HBO Max just launched and it's like, oh, there's already stuff leaving. What the
Yeah.
heck? Well, I think this goes back to what I was saying about the HBO Now transitioning into HBO Max
Mm-hmm.
thing, because I know the Lord of the Rings movies, for example, those are on Netflix right now. They're also here on HBO Max.
Mm.
But they were on HBO Now. I think that the reason why those might be leaving is because the contract for those might have been for HBO Now specifically.
Mm.
And because they are now switching over to a different platform,
Mm-hmm.
a different name, they might be forced to have to let go some of these movies and whatnot because of that. Now, I don't know why Teen Titans Go to the Movies is in there, and I also don't quite understand why those Lego movies are in there, although I do realize that like Lego and Warner were having some disputes and Lego went to Universal and now Universal is going to be making Lego movies with them.
Yeah,
So
just
maybe
as a
that's
heads
why
up,
those are gone.
definitely watch the Lego Movie and Lego Batman. Of all the stuff
Yeah.
that's leaving, those are what I highly recommend.
Absolutely. Cuz I wasn't sure and I don't know if anyone's like reported on that and has like a clear idea, but if anybody knows in the chat, what's up, please inform us cuz I'd really like
I
to
mean, the
know.
Batman movies. Oh God, Catwoman. That might have something
Yeah, Catwoman's
to
on
do
there.
with the fact that DC still has their streaming service. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, but yeah, no. So that's something that's interesting, and it's still very much unseen how many things are gonna leave, and if any TV shows are gonna be added to this. I'm a little more okay with movies coming and going. I mean, that's kind of the nature of movies in theaters, and like
Yeah.
I'd still rather everything just stay. I mean, I think that you know, unless there's some
Mhm.
contract reason that we don't know of yet, maybe something with Netflix.
Yeah.
There really isn't a real reason other than to drive up demand. It's the Disney Vault, basically. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would hope that, whatever may be leaving, that is an original or owned by HBO slash Warner slash whatever. It's only a temporary
right.
leave and it will be coming back. Apologies for motorcycles outside. Um, but I think that another thing you mentioned is the fact that DC has their own platform. Cartoon Network still has its app slash website where you can access their stuff.
Boomerang.
Crunchyroll and Boomerang and whatever else. I think, and this is something I was theorizing on a while back. I think eventually they might try to phase those in to HBO Max and try to get it to be one platform so they can centralize their audience. And
I think they don't. I think they don't know, or that they have a plan that they haven't enacted yet. Because
yeah.
there are many ways they could do it. The obvious thing that everyone says is, oh, they're going to shut these services down and fold them into HBO Max. But there's a million
Mhm.
other things they could do. They could keep these
Yeah.
services open and have them be add-ons for HBO Max, where it's cheaper if you like have
Mhm.
HBO Max and add it on. They could keep these services. They could keep free versions of these services with limited content as a teaser for HBO Max.
Yeah.
They could I don't know. They could completely change. They could make them incredibly cheap, make them 99-cent services, or they could choose not to have more things on HBO Max. Maybe take some of the stuff off and continue to keep these services. There's a lot of things they could do. I do
Mm-hmm.
kind of hope that they just fold it in or they do something
Me
fun
too.
with it. Because like, yeah, yo, whose line is it anyway?
Yeah,
Is on HBO Max.
it is. It is. They have all eight seasons, I
Well, the
believe.
old
Yeah,
Whose Line.
the old one. Yes.
It's worth noting in terms of content, there's a decent amount here at launch. Not a crazy amount, but a decent amount. Not new content, just content in general. Uh, and then the
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I really want to point out is just even just from a kind of glance through, um, there's much more variety than on Disney Plus, which is a positive or a
Mm,
negative
a
depending
plus.
on how you look at it. In the sense that there are incredibly serious documentary movies. There are Harry Potter films. There's, dark series like The Sopranos. There's Cartoon Network originals, Looney Tunes, Sesame Street stuff. There's like a wide range of age demographics.
Yeah.
Then there's also like some superhero stuff. There's Adult Swim stuff. There's it's not I don't it's not more content that's on Disney Plus. I would say there's probably about as much in terms of volume.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they said it launched with about 10,000 hours worth of content was what was being
mhm.
advertised. So, but it definitely feels more diverse in terms of the range of the age range, the genre range, because there's a lot of
There's
dramas, and I know we both
mhm.
talked about how Disney Plus is sorely lacking in that kind of
There's also
area.
anime, which Disney Plus
Yes.
um might have one or two things, but generally doesn't. Um, but
Yes.
yeah, there's like
Studio Ghibli.
yep, Studio Ghibli is a big one for me. There's classic movies like
Hmm.
Casablanca. Like there's a variety, and the positive.
Yeah, they. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying they even have like old films, like they have Battleship Potemkin from like
Yeah,
1921. Like they have a huge
Casablanca is
range. But
also
go
pretty
on.
old. And they have Joker, relatively new. But
Hmm.
you know, I think it really depends on who you are and what you want. If you only like animated films and family movies and shows, then with Disney Plus, you're getting exactly what you're paying for. You're not paying for anything you don't want. If you don't like dramas, if you don't like more adult material or whatever, then yeah, it's great because you're not paying for that. But with HBO Max, you're paying for everything. So if you don't care about Studio Ghibli, you're paying for Studio Ghibli in a way. In a way, your money's going towards it.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah, but the nice thing about it is I feel, even if you're not, and nobody's, well, I shouldn't say nobody, a very select few people are going to be interested in every single thing on the platform. But as long as a few different areas catch your interest, I feel like you're getting your money's worth.
I mean,
I do think,
it should also go without saying that HBO Max skews more adult than Disney Plus. Not that it doesn't
mhm,
have kids
it
stuff,
does.
but the adult stuff seems to at least be equal to, if not outnumber.
Yeah. I do think that the $15 price point is a huge turnoff for a lot
Yep.
of people when they compare it to things like Hulu, Disney Plus. Netflix is close, but still a little bit cheaper. But one thing that I like to keep in mind for this, for like HBO specifically, is HBO is known for having high budget, high quality like series. Game of Thrones, Westworld.
Sopranos.
I'm pretty yeah, Sopranos, Watchmen. Like these shows have big budgets. They put a lot of money into these. So I kind of understand why they have that higher price point because if they're going to be making HBO
Yeah.
originals for the streaming service, they got to fund it
Hmm.
somehow. So like they're working on a Game of Thrones prequel for example. So like I sure know HBO Max is helping to fund that. So I understand why it's higher priced compared to some other streaming platforms like
Right.
Disney Plus, but I don't know. I don't think it's too absurdly
No,
high.
and I mean you got to also remember that technically the launch price is about $12 a month, which
Yeah.
I, and again, it's we don't know how much they're adding a month or a week or
Hmm.
any like it's a lot of unknowns. That's not saying I'm not saying give them the benefit of the doubt. If you feel that HBO Max and AT&T or whoever has demonstrated that they're probably not going to be updating this enough for you, then I think that's a fine guess on your part. But for me, I am in very much wait and see mode. I mean, I have the service. There are enough things on it that I care about that I wanted to get it regardless, especially for the $12 price point. But as for how I feel about it, I still want to give it a little bit of time to percolate because, yeah, in part also because of COVID too, which I do feel affected, at least in some small way, maybe not in a big way, did affect HBO Max's launch. Philip Korth says, one of the biggest things I find to be lacking with HBO Max is the lack of Warner Brothers animated content that isn't Looney Tunes and Cartoon Network / Adult Swim. There's so many Warner Brothers and DC cartoons that have no presence. Well, because they're on Boomerang and DC streaming service, which
I noticed a distinct lack of like Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series. Like those are surprising.
Well, and that's a bummer because you don't want to hear me say, you're paying $15 a month, and you don't want to hear me say, oh, it's on your content's in another streaming service and that costs like an extra $8 a month. Like that's a big feels bad. Now, if it was an add-on for an extra buck or two, I think that is a reasonable way to do it. I mean, granted, we're talking even more pricey now, so maybe they're flying too close to the sun with that. But yeah,
yeah, I just hope it's kind of a case where contracts are currently going on. They're waiting for those to be up, and once they are up, they'll be moved over. And it's definitely, it's like, it's not just the case. Like you can compare this to like a game console launch. When the PS4 launched, it didn't have that many games to play on it. You got to give it time. Give it some time. Let it build up some momentum. Let more games be made for it. Let more series be made for HBO Max, and then we'll see where it is in 6 months. I mean, I think Disney Plus has improved since its launch 6 months ago. So same could happen for HBO.
I mean,
Max.
it's
definitely wait and see.
With Disney Plus's launch, and I suspect it's going to be the case with a lot of other services. Really, you don't even have to do the free trial. Even if you just go on and look at the content that is on there, if that content is worth it to you, get it. If it's not, then don't get it right now because it's still an unknown as to how much they're going to add, what kinds of content they're going to add, what direction the service, how much they're going to focus on originals or not. It's very up in the air, or at least not been revealed yet. So again, as for if you'd ask me right now, is it worth it? Do you care about those old Cartoon Network shows? Do you care about HBO documentaries? Do you care about hit HBO classics like The Sopranos or Adult Swim shows? If you do, then get the service. If you don't care about that, then no. There's not anything. I mean, we'll talk about Looney Tunes when we talk a little bit later in the show, but going back to what I asked with Disney Plus in that video, I asked, what is the killer app? Is there a killer app? Is there a killer show? Is there a Stranger Things or an Orange is the New Black? And in that case, it's The Mandalorian. In HBO Max's case, they don't have one yet. Looney Tunes,
not yet.
I'll say what I feel about it later, but and certainly it is a big show for them, and it's a big promotion, but it's 10 episodes of each 11 minutes of a cartoon. It's not a show that is going to get people talking about, you have to see this, you need to see this, you have to pay $15 a month to see these Looney Tunes cartoons. And because it's so short, if you really want to watch it, free trial it. Elmo only has 3 episodes out at the moment, so similarly, even if you think Elmo is the killer app for this service, it's not there yet. So, and as far as these are the 2 most pushed originals, which is weird enough to say, right? I mean,
because they only had 6. They had 6 originals at launch. It was these 2, and then they had like Craftopia and
Legendary,
live action,
Love Life. And On the Record, which none of these look particularly interesting to me personally.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that the unfortunate thing for me with HBO Max is just how much uncertainty there is. Like, I know we've been comparing it to Disney Plus a lot. It just feels like it's the right one to compare it to because that only came out a little bit ago. But with Disney Plus's launch, going into that service before it even launched, we knew Disney was planning so many things. We knew they were going to be doing The Mandalorian. We knew the Marvel cinematic shows were going to be on there. We knew, like, they gave us that 3-hour video to say like, here is some footage of like almost everything on the platform. It's like they really spelled it out exactly what the service was going to have, what they wanted it to be. And with HBO Max, it's more, they were not, I don't think they did the best job at elaborating, because we do have a lot of unanswered questions as to where it's going, what could come of it. And the other thing is, HBO had a previous app, DC has an app, Cartoon Network has an app, and all these other things existed. Whereas in Disney's case, it's just kind of like
Disney had Disney Now.
They didn't have anything. Yeah, it was just Disney Now, I guess. Yeah, you're right. But it there wasn't all these other smaller things that people already had, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that feel like, well, I'm already paying for the DC service. Why should I get HBO Max? I only want the DC stuff. Well, then just pay for the DC service. I think that kind of might be hindering it a little bit, but I mean,
I think another thing to keep in mind, something interesting is, because this is an extension of HBO, I didn't have HBO. So there's a lot of content on here that I've never seen that looks high quality, looks interesting. I'm a sucker for a good documentary, and HBO does a lot of really good ones. So for me, that's a huge pocket of content that I've just never seen. They even have it on their originals tab. They have a section for Max originals and then a section for HBO originals, which of course there's tons of, because HBO has been operating as an entity for decades now.
Yep.
So, if you haven't had any form of HBO and you don't care about HBO, then that doesn't really do anything. But if you haven't had a form of HBO and you're curious, then that might be a reason to get it as well, because there is a lot of content here. And I will say one thing compared to Disney Plus, in my just looking over the titles and everything, I don't think HBO has as much throwaway fillery content as Disney Plus does. Disney Plus has a ton of Disney Channel original movies, and a ton of, like, every show on Disney Channel has their own series of shorts, like all the animated ones. DuckTales has shorts, Tangled has shorts, like all this stuff that makes it look like there's more content, but really it's just kind of very short, very light, very like, Disney Plus crafts and Disney Pixar prank show. Like, that's not meaty content that anyone would really pay for. Some people might like it, some people might enjoy it, but that's not meaty content. Whereas I don't really see that much of that on HBO Max. I see a lot of movies. I see a lot of fully fledged series that are critically acclaimed, and interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of fluff.
Do you want to...
it's...
I was going to say, do you want to move on to talking a little bit about Cartoon Network section on here?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to go right out and say that the Powerpuff section is a little weird, because so all of Powerpuff Girls is on Hulu. And when I say all of Powerpuff Girls, I mean everything but the movie. Everything. The Powerpuff Girls Rule Special. No, not Pants. I meant original series run. Original series run. They have Powerpuff Girls Rule. They have 'Twas the Fight. They have all 6 seasons, all of them, even See Me, Feel Me, Know Me. HBO Max is missing PPG Rule. It's missing 'Twas the Fight, and it's missing See Me, Feel Me, Know Me. So we're back to this. Oh, See Me, Feel Me, Know Me. Is it banned again? What? What's going on here? Because it's not there. I don't know why. Like, because it was available on Netflix when Netflix had Powerpuff Girls. It's still available right now on Hulu. So I don't know why that episode is just gone.
If I were to have a guess, I would say that wherever they pull these episodes from, whatever folder or hard drive or whatever they're pulling it from, probably just didn't have See Me, Feel Me, Know Me. I know that's a stupid answer. I know that's a stupid answer. Yes, Nick, we need people to see religious imagery. Thank you. We need shirtless gnomes in our life.
They're crosses.
Well, you see, friends, HBO Max does not believe in freedom beef. They are.
Now, another thing I wanted to touch on, though, is this gives me hope. I have hope, and I am praying that this means we will finally get an HD release of the Powerpuff Girls movie. I am praying that, this is the opportunity. This is the chance where it could finally happen. And I'm just I'm praying to whoever is running this service, that they will put it on, because I just want to see it in high quality. That's all I want. That's my biggest hope for the entire service, if I'm being honest, is the PBG movie in like high
That's great,
definition.
Shadow. Well,
Yeah.
so on that note, as far as I've seen, all of the shows that were made in 4:3 non-widescreen, like the Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab, are in that form. They are not stretched. They are not cropped. They are in the correct aspect ratio. Actually, I think those might be the only two shows that were produced like that. And conversely, shows like Ben 10 that were produced in that era of Cartoon Network where they were making widescreen shows but not yet airing widescreen shows, they're all there in HD.
They
And
are.
Ben 10 all seasons, even though stupid Hulu had seasons 3 and 4 for some reason back in 4:3, even though 1 and 2 were in widescreen, they're all there, and that's great. Ben 10 even has Ben 10 Race Against Time, but it doesn't.
I was about to say that. Yep.
It does not have the Alien Force movie, and it does not have the CG movie, which is a bummer. But they have all 5 Ben 10 shows.
Yep, they do.
So that's cool. There isn't, a ton of shows on here, but I think they did a pretty good job with the selection. Regular show, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, new stuff like Victor and Valentino. They've got some. Basically, they have like the hits from every era of Cartoon Network. The early era, they have Powerpuff Girls and Dexter. Now, don't get me wrong, I really want to see Ed, Edd n Eddy on there, and Courage and Kids Next
Courage,
Door,
Johnny
stuff like that.
Bravo.
I want to see them, but Powerpuff Girls and Dexter are a good representation at that time, I suppose. Then you have things like Foster's, which came a little later. Foster's, Chowder, Flapjack. Then a little later than that, you have Adventure Time, regular show, Uncle Grandpa, and then a little later than that, you have Clarence and Mighty Magiswords, which probably shouldn't be on there because that show sucks. And We Bare Bears. So it's not that they picked like shows that people don't care about. I think there's like a decent mix. Do I want more? Oh, absolutely. But I think as a starting point, this ain't too shabby.
I do know that in regards to content that's coming, we mentioned Ed, Edd n Eddy, Courage, Kids Next Door. I believe Billy and Mandy and Mau Mau were also confirmed to be coming to the service at some point, but they don't, again, have any definitive date for that yet. And then I wanted to also mention in regards to Cartoon Network's content that Infinity Train is on HBO Max, and I distinctly recall seeing the creator Owen Dennis on Twitter heavily encouraging people to watch Infinity Train on HBO Max. Like, he's really pushing for it. So I think there is the potential for Infinity Train to continue more. What was that?
Yeah, no, continue.
Oh, I was just saying there's the possibility for the series to continue more on HBO Max. If he's really pushing it. And it seems a little like, I get pushing your content, but he's like really hinting at it. So I think there's something there that we could be looking forward to in regards to that series.
Hey, Nintendo, can you knock it off with the liking awful shows and bringing them up shtick? He mentioned problem solvers. I don't think Nick actually likes problem solvers. But anyway, yeah, no, there's no CN Real. Sorry, guys. I not every Cartoon Network era is represented.
Thankfully.
But yeah, no, all right, maybe you do, Nick. I'm not, you know what? I'm not hating on you. I feel like you brought up problem solvers just to irritate me. If you genuinely like the show, that's completely fine.
It's a crime to not have reanimated and Out of Jimmy's Head on HBO.
No, that's, you know what? I want Out of Jimmy's Head and Reanimated to come to Disney Plus. I want Disney to acquire the series that is just an entirely thinly veiled parody of itself.
No, that's okay.
Oh man,
that's okay. We don't need that.
Pete of Dawn. I remember I said in a tweet, having HBO Max and Disney Plus is enough, and I'm gonna leave Netflix. Do I still stand by that? I don't know that I said I definitely would, but I just said that it might be enough. I mean, currently probably not, but in a year's time, when my free year of Disney Plus is over and my cheaper HBO Max is over, then I'll reevaluate, and it might be time to drop Netflix. I'm not sure. Not yet. I don't think yet, but there might be.
Mhm.
There might come a day. Um,
Yeah, I know that in regards to me with HBO Max coming out, the only thing I really used Hulu for, besides Solar Opposites, which you can check out our last episode on that if you want to. Besides that, the only thing I've used Hulu for is the Cartoon Network stuff, and most of the Cartoon Network shows on Hulu are now on HBO Max. So I'm actually in the process of considering dropping Hulu.
ooh.
I mean, I'd probably get it back if there's ever another Hulu original we want to talk about. But outside of that, I might be dropping Hulu soon.
You're not gonna keep hit for Solar Opposites.
If Solar Opposites season 2 comes out, I'll get it for 1 month, watch that, and then drop it again.
That's just a joke because I didn't really.
I feel like
it.
that's no, I know. I just feel like that's what Hulu's gonna become for me. Is it's like it's gonna be an on and off again service. Like, yeah, I'll get it for a month to watch this thing and then drop it. Because that's a benefit of streaming. You're not tied into a year-long contract or something like that. But all right, do you want to get into the 2 original series?
Yes, I am. For some reason, I muted and unmuted myself, and then it just didn't want me to unmute. So one thing I just wanted to say with HBO Max is just that the interface looks nice. I like that on the show pages, at least for the Cartoon Network shows. If you click on the page, it has a really neat background from the show. So,
okay. What's another thing I wanted to complain about? Powerpuff Girls original has a reboot background.
It does. But at least it looks nice.
Because nobody cares.
It looks nice.
Nobody cares. Ugh. Just let me do it.
But the backgrounds are neat. I like that idea. I think it's probably
I like the
extra.
idea.
It's probably a lot of extra work because they have to have it in the right aspect ratio and everything. But like, it looks neat.
Yeah, I like the only thing. This is a very minor nitpick. Don't get me like. I just wish that the profiles were a little more customizable. Besides, let's choose the different color of a circle. You know, because I mean. It's better than Hulu, I guess, because Hulu is literally just a name. But Netflix and Disney Plus, you get your own little profile pic. You know, it's like, oh, if I want the Mandalorian as my icon, I can do that. If I want Thanos, I can do that. You know, with HBO Max, there's not really any customization in that regards. But you can customize the closed captions, and they actually give you a lot of options. You can change the color, you can change the font, you can change the size. I was actually surprised at how much you could customize closed captions. So if you are very stingy on how you want your subtitles to show up on screen, HBO Max has got you covered.
Disney Plus. Also, how do you feel? Before we move on, we're gonna get to the Looney Tunes in a moment. But how do you feel about the playlist on here that's Best of Mojo Jojo? Do you feel like these episodes are the best of Mojo Jojo? We've got Just Another Manic Mojo, Mime for a Change, and / Mime for a Change, Mo Jobs / Pet Feud, Moral Decay and the Beatles, Mo Linguish, Oops, I Did It Again, You're a Good Man Mojo Jojo, Mr. Mojo's Rising. Wow, they got like it's just every Mojo episode. Never mind. I could keep listing this, but it's like 30
Is
episodes.
Child Fearing on there?
It's gotta be.
It better be.
It's not in chronological order, and it's not like ranked, so I don't really know. Mojo Johnson is on. Rowdy Rough Boys.
I used to hate that episode. Not anymore,
good.
But I used to.
Oh, Doggy 2 is on here.
That's a good one.
It would be nice. I know this is probably asking too much, but it would be nice if they separated these into 11-minute segments and listed them as such instead of the combined. Yeah. I know the episodes were produced that way, and I don't know, they'd probably be too much of a pain.
Because they do it for the reboot.
Right, but they'd probably have to go and re-edit like the credits after each 11-minute segment, and they'd have to chop it. And I don't know, they'd probably bungle it somehow. But it would just be nice that if I wanted to watch Los Dos Mojos, I don't have to watch Slave the Day.
Yeah.
Just saying. Okay, so we are going to move right along to one of the 2 featured streaming shows, Looney Tunes Cartoons. And yes, it's called Looney Tunes Cartoons. That's the official title, and that's how you distinguish it from the old Looney Tunes. I mean, it's better than calling it New Looney Tunes, but I mean, Looney Tunes Cartoons. They should have called it Looney Tunes Max.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have. They should
Yeah.
have done that. That would have been better. I agree though. I'm glad they didn't call it New Looney Tunes because whenever you call something new, it's gonna get old
Hmm.
eventually. Like,
So
but
to start off here, we got a great comment from Byleth, Penny Bicycle 21. Do you think Looney Tunes cartoons leans too heavily on nostalgia? I saw a negative review saying it relies on nostalgia for comedy and doesn't bring anything new to the table. So I think this is a great jumping off point for the discussion because the first thing you'll notice with this show, like right away, is that it is not a modern take on Looney Tunes. It is not Looney
mm-mm,
Tunes, but in a sitcom. It's not Looney Tunes with superpowers. It's not Baby Looney Tunes. It's not Looney Tunes as teachers. It's not Looney Tunes solving mysteries. It's Looney Tunes. It is an
it is.
effort to be similar to the old Looney Tunes shorts. Not exactly alike. They made some modifications to character designs, and obviously animation has changed a little bit, probably
Mm-hmm.
since, whenever the last official Looney Tunes short was produced. Um, so I think that's actually really neat personally because you see so many attempts to modernize the Looney Tunes characters, and it's nice for once to just see something that is just trying to be Looney Tunes. It's not trying to change anything about it other than, just telling new stories with newer animation. That's what it is. I mean, whether you like that or not is a discussion, and we'll get into it. But ultimately, I think that it's very interesting that they tried to go this take. And although they've tried to revive Looney Tunes so many, so many, so many, so many times, I don't know that I've ever seen a take that was attempting to be this close to the original source material.
Yeah, this is definitely a return to form. That's what I immediately thought of. It's actually the best way to describe it. It's a return to form. You see so many classic Looney Tunes tropes. You got the dynamite. You got
The
there's a lot
sound
of slapstick
effects.
humor. The sound effects are. You even got like the classic opening fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and closing and like it's even the same font. It's
Yep.
the script font listing off the staff and everything. Like you can definitely tell. It's like let's just they're just reincorporating what was already done and making it its own thing for HBO Max, without being too out there. It's no Lunatics Unleashed or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
So
Um.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really interesting. First of all. And another something I guess I want to bring up right away is that for some reason, in the poster they chose on HBO Max is Bugs Bunny holding a cell phone. Now, in the 8 episodes that I saw, I didn't see the last two. Bugs Bunny uses a cell phone once as a phone to call his family. It is not a show about Bugs Bunny using a smartphone. The show is pretty time agnostic in the sense that yes, every so often there'll be like a smartphone or a flat screen TV or whatnot, but there's not great attention drawn to it. It is not, let's have an episode where Bugs Bunny is using a cell phone app. Not that that even is really that big a negative thing. I'm just saying that like it, that's a really poor
It's not the
representation
focus.
of what the show is because it is not here's what the Looney
Mm-hmm.
Tunes are like in the modern age in 2020. It's let's do Looney Tunes now. Sometimes they might reference modern technology. Maybe they will have an entire episode where Bugs messes with Elmer via an app. Maybe they will. I don't know. I'm not entirely against it, but it's not Looney Tunes with forced modern references in it. That's not what the show is. Like you might believe if you just looked at that poster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan. I like this. I wasn't really sure what to expect from it because I actually haven't seen a lot of the more recent stuff like Wabbit or the Looney
The new
Tunes
Looney.
show. Also, apparently, people in the chat are saying that the new Looney Tunes is on Boomerang. I did not know
Mm.
that.
Yep.
I haven't seen any of that, so I actually haven't watched Looney Tunes content in a really long time. So to come back to this after so long, it's kind of refreshing just to be like, oh yeah, I remember watching this when I was younger. It's kind of like a nostalgic, like yeah, this is really cool because it's what I remember, and it's not shoving in the modern stuff like you mentioned. This isn't like a case where we're relying on texting and modern slang and all that stuff. And I do
I mean,
appreciate
we
that.
can just briefly talk about our beef with that since the you talk about the Powerpuff Girls reboot enough. I did a video on this. It's it's not that having cell phones or anything like that in and of itself there's nothing wrong with that. These are things that exist in real life. It's that when you take characters, especially characters that have existed long before this technology, and
Hmm.
you use terms like flossing and twerking and cell phones and stuff like that as a way to seem cool, especially from adults who are not cool and who do not understand when it is appropriate to use these internet terms. It comes off as cringy, it comes off as forced, and it comes off as we need to give Bugs Bunny a cell phone because the kids don't understand that he doesn't have a cell phone. Like, you know what I mean? It's not
Hmm.
that the modern technology in and of itself in a show is wrong. It's that very often, yes, Instaclam and Snapper Chat, the promo Nickelodeon did about SpongeBob, it comes off as cringy, it comes off as out of touch, and it comes off as a forced thing. And anything that comes off as forced to try to appeal to whatever, especially if it's something to appeal to something that's quote cool, it's always uncomfortable, it's always unpleasant, and it never reads well.
Always recycle to the extreme. That's basically, yeah. It's that's my whole thing. And not only that, but not only is it an out of touch thing, but it also significantly dates something in a negative way. And it's fine if you watch something from the 90s or the 80s and the characters are walking around with, technology, like
Sometimes you
outdated
can't
phones
help it,
and
especially if you're doing like a live action
yeah,
show.
exactly. But the thing with that is it's not bringing awareness to when it takes place. You watch it and it's like, "Oh, this takes place in the 90s." You don't watch it and it's like, "Hey, we're totally 90s." And when it brings it to the surface and shoves it in your face, not only is it obnoxious and annoying, but it severely impacts your enjoyment of it because it's not, oh, I'm watching a quality show about, these characters I like. It's, oh, I'm watching a show about all the things I already see in my day-to-day life. Why am I watching this? I already see this on the internet.
Joe Blake asks, "How would you feel if you saw Bugs Bunny dab?" uh,
I'm okay with that.
Cartoon Network's already made.
I would just need to make sure. I would need to take the time to explicitly analyze his fingers and make sure they're in the proper
Okay,
position
wait, hey,
while he
hey,
is
can we
dabbing.
unironically talk about Bugs Bunny's fingers? Okay, I'm so ready. Okay, so I was memeing on that one guy that made that like 80-minute video
Hmm.
about Bugs Bunny's fingers, but let's have a real talk because Bugs Bunny's got some interesting fingers. I think the idea of giving him these really like articulate, realistic human fingers that are posed in these bizarre ways, I love it. I think it's really, really
Hmm.
interesting, and I think a lot of the fun of this show comes in the character posing. Like the character acting via animation is so good in this show and so on point. And Peter Braungart, the guy who made Uncle Grandpa, the guy who is the ice cream king Patrick on SpongeBob, that dude. I always liked Uncle Grandpa. I didn't care what anyone else said. And I think the dude does have an eye for slapstick, wacky comedy. And I think that I think this is his calling. Like honestly, I think that
Hmm.
this is like I'm I thought this was great. I really did. I thought that this was genuinely a return to form for Looney Tunes. Not that I didn't like Wabbit, but just that this felt like let's just do Looney Tunes. Let's not try to put it in any specific time era or do any specific twist. It's like let's just take what worked about the original show and do it again. And sometimes that can feel like a rehash, but it's been so long, man. And I feel like so much about the comedy and the posing and the animation and the art direction and just everything about this is so on point. I really did like this a lot. That I'm totally
Hmm.
okay with it. If you do something again in a similar way to before, but you tell different stories and you really like just bring your A game with the art and with the comedy, then fine. Um,
This is definitely a case of a reboot being a good thing.
yeah,
And this is exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to if I would want a reboot of something. If I would want a reboot of a show, I would want it to be similar to the original, but I would want it to do new things that the original didn't do. That it still feels at home within the property's identity, and this is very much a perfect case of that. It's like the only real solid reboot that I see people like saying that also does this is DuckTales 2017. They're and TMNT's they're good reboots, but I don't know if they fit in line with the original TMNT that people know. This is like finally, if anyone ever asks me, what I would want in a reboot of this property or this is what I'd go to. I'd be like, do what this show does. Not copy Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Peter Braungart's going to be doing the Powerpuff Girls 2022.
Yeah.
And it's going to be wacky. The Powerpuff Girls are going to have elongated fingers.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah.
Someone needs to Photoshop.
Buttercup's going to have a list.
Photoshop Bugs Bunny's elongated fingers onto the Powerpuff Girls.
No, please don't. Oh, that's horrific. I don't even want to imagine that.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's true. Just follow these principles. This is a reboot.
Yeah.
Right.
And God, there was a budget put behind this that I love. I mean, it's.
I love the coloring and the animation's so smooth.
There are a few moments, a few things that I look at and I'm like, that might have been cheaped out a little bit. Like for instance, in the first episode, like the second segment with Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam arm wrestling, the background is like one color for 90% of the short, and it was a little distracting. It was a little distracting. I'm fine with them doing that for some things, but like just one bar background is really all that would have been necessary. But I understand that the reason why shortcuts like that are taken is so that there are parts of the episode where you can have Daffy Duck like feeling like he has more frames than usual of animation as he makes these crazy faces. Like it feels like there was so much attention to detail put into specific moments in each episode that you know what I mean? That I feel like corners had to be cut in other places just to make that the budget play.
Yeah.
So.
Also, Tom Kenny is in this show, so that means it's good.
That's distracting. Tom Kenny. No. On the voices, I mean, I didn't have a single complaint, really.
No, I think they're all great. Great impressions. Eric Balza, I don't know. Great Bugs Bunny.
Yeah,
he's very good
Eric
Bugs
nailed
Bunny.
it.
He also does Daffy, Marvin the Martian. I forget who else, but I know he does those three at least, and they're all really good. So yeah, no, I'm sold on this voice cast, and I'm actually pulling it up right now. Let's see. Bob Bergens, Porky Pig. Jeff Bergman is Sylvester. Elmer Fudd. Candy Milo is Granny.
Shadow, you might just want to move your head a little bit away from the mic. Apparently, they're getting some feedback from me.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean that's a tricky thing recasting. Scoop just did it, and everyone hated the recast. Also, everyone loved the recast of the podcast. But yeah, that was very controversial. Shadow, can you think of any other recasting that might have been controversial? When the originals were like sitting there waiting, wanting to.
Yeah, Grandpa Max in Ben 10 2016. Oh, that irked me so much. I know that's not the answer you were going for, but that is one that irked me so much. Paul Eiding is perfect as Grandpa Max. There's nobody.
Well, Grandpa
better.
Max is useless in the reboot, so they needed to give him
and his face is.
They needed to give him a voice that was that matched how useless he is.
Yeah, but no, the Powerpuff Girls reboot did that, but only for the females. I just like to point that. I like to point that out every time. There's no underlying themes there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I really don't have any complaints with this. I mean, it's minor, and I kind of brought it up earlier, but just that, like, I think I would rather them have put out each short as its own episode. I see what they're doing. They want it to be around like 11 to 13 minutes so that they could air it on TV potentially if they wanted to. It also means that they can have these little interstitials in between, like with Marvin the Martian. It's fine. It's not a big complaint, but it's just. It's hard to remember what episode's what because they're just labeled with numbers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about everything I have
Uh,
to say about this though. Like overall, it's
I've,
really
I've,
good.
I've,
It's
yeah, I
good.
have one more. I just again about the format. I
Hmm.
think they should have um released this like one episode a day or a week instead of all at once because Looney Tunes is not
Hmm.
of all shows, it's not really one that I care about binging. It's the sort of thing that I want to just turn on every
Yeah.
once in a while. Um, so I don't.
Yeah, if they did like a stagnated release or a trickle release, I think that would be better. Because they could even do something where, like, you know, I think something that would have been cool, actually, now that you mention that, is if, like, every day they advertised the new Looney Tunes short at the
Right.
top. Like, hey, today's episode is Bugs and Yosemite Sam. Today it's, Marvin the Martian. I think that would have been really cool. That would actually been a very good way to, people turn on the app, boom, there it is. That would have been that's a missed opportunity. Shame on you, HBO
But
Max.
that's in
Shame
the
on you.
format. That's not the actual show. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really have
Hmm.
any complaints. So, but it's interesting because that's I believe Elmo is being released every day. I want to say is that
Is it daily? I don't think it's
no?
daily because I still I don't know. I didn't check today, but when I checked yesterday, I think it was still just the three
Hmm.
episodes.
Well, it might be daily, but not weekend shadow. Um, that's what
Oh,
I
it could be
assume because
that.
there was three episodes, and so um,
I'm actually looking that up right now.
yeah, I would assume that it's every day. Chat, correct us if we're wrong. And y'all can keep talking about SpongeBob, but I'm not going to answer anything about it. um,
Okay, actually, it looks like it's 13 episodes.
what is?
The Not Too Late Show with Elmo runs 13 episodes. New episodes premiere weekly afterwards. So it's a
Oh, okay.
weekly release from that point on. So
Do you
okay, yeah,
think
that's fine.
maybe they dropped a few at once because they planned on releasing HBO Max a few weeks ago? I
It
don't
could
know.
be that. It could also just be they wanted to give people a few episodes just to kind of get more of
Taste.
a taste, so it's
Yeah,
not a one and done, completely
that's
forget type
possible.
thing. But
All
yeah,
right. So yeah.
okay.
So the other headlining show, as bizarre as this um, is the Not Too Late Show with Elmo, which is like a 13-minute. Um, I don't even necessarily want to call it a talk show. It's got the facade of a talk show, but it's really just kind of like a little variety show. Um, featuring
Yeah,
Elmo.
it's weird, honestly. Like unlike the Looney Tunes cartoons, which I called a return to form, this is like that weird spin-off you never expected.
What
Because
are you talking about? This was exactly
I
what Sesame Street was like in the 90s. Don't you remember?
oh, of
Elmo was
course,
always putting
yeah.
on a suit and he was hanging out with
Mm-hmm.
what were controversial characters from the 90s?
Um.
He
Uh. I don't
he
know.
was hanging out with I don't want to say anyone too
Camel,
controversial.
the Camel guy from Camel
Yeah, there we
cigarettes. He was
go.
controversial, wasn't
And
he?
Jim
Yeah.
Carrey and uh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. No, this is a.
Well, wait, hang on. Let's disclaimer. Let's
I
disclaimer
didn't.
this. This is something aimed at
Okay.
young children. And Shadow and I, we're gonna have our opinions and we're gonna talk about this. But just at the end of the day, we're very far out of the target demographic, and we very much know this.
Yeah.
We're not sitting here that are like, we're not taking this super seriously. Just as a
No.
heads up. All right, go for it.
This, I did not know what I was getting myself into when I watched this. Because I was like, okay, what exactly would an Elmo talk show be? Like, how would they present this? Who would they get to go on it?
Lil Nas
these are a lot
X.
of questions.
Lil Nas X.
Yes, of course. Lil Nas X, my favorite celebrity. I always wanted to see him and Elmo together in the same room. No, but it's just weird. It's just such a strange idea. I don't know who came up with this.
Well,
But
okay, so I have to I made the joke on Twitter, but so the like 2013 ABC Muppet show or 2016 I don't even remember the year, but it was about Miss Piggy having a late show. So Elmo isn't even the first puppet with a late show. I'm just saying. And And it's weird because that show had a lot of like behind the scenes antics and stuff, and this show has like in the producer room antics, and I'm just like, this is like a weird like spiritual successor to ABC's Muppets, and it's very strange that it has similarities.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So basically, the premise of this is Elmo has a talk show that runs for about each episode's like 15
Elmo
minutes.
has a bedtime routine, but also a talk show.
Yes. Yes, he has a talk show and he has to do it before bedtime. So that's why it's only
just like the
15
Powerpuff
minutes, I'm
Girls.
guessing. Yes, exactly. But each episode features, one or two different celebrities, and they come on and they, it's kind of like a talk show in the sense that, there's
talking
parts where Elmo talking to
he
them,
he asks like one question
and then they
to
do
the guest, and then they move into like some activity,
some game or whatever. Like the Jonas Brothers, they have this dance and then stay still game.
The Jonas Brothers were working double duty because they were the guests and the musical guests. Like Elmo, that's kind of rude, really. You should ask them for one or the other. That's a lot,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you got Elmo hosting it. Cookie Monster's kind of like the co-host guy over on the side. Every talk show has to have one of those. And yeah, you see other appearances from characters like Bert and Ernie are in the director's booth.
Abby
and
Cadabby.
Then you see the Count sometimes. Abby Cadabby. Yeah, like they all show up. So it's very Sesame Street.
Yeah. Well, but okay, so the interesting thing about what I found most interesting is that it was not educational. Right? Sesame Street, what is it known for, first and foremost? I mean, aside from being an entertaining kids show, but it's educational value. And this, I'm not saying it has no educational value, because it doesn't have like zero. And just for reference, my girlfriend is an educator of young children, so she knows a little. So I was talking with her about this. It does like reinforce things like, hey kids, do your bedtime routine, brush your teeth, be nice to other people. Like it does stuff like that, but there's not really like, this is what the letter A is, or this is what this is, or like it's very, very light. And I'm not saying it has to be educational, but it just struck me as weird because that's what I would assume from anything from Sesame Workshop.
Yeah.
Also, Elmo serenades us at the end of the show, and it's kind of weird.
It is. I was gonna comment on that. That's like the most out there thing. It's just weird because you go through the whole show and it's like, yeah, this is fine, and then at the end, Elmo's like singing to you. He's like staring directly at you as the credits
hang on.
play.
The creepiest part of this show is Elmo's eyelids. Jimmy Fallon makes a joke in episode 1 that Elmo doesn't have eyelids, and I'm like, doesn't have eyelids. And then at the end of the episode, you see him like blinking his eyelids as he's going to sleep, and I never needed to see that. Whoever thought of that needs to just like. Elmo needs to just put the pillow over his head when he sleeps.
Just stop.
Because having him have movable eyelids is not working for me.
No, that was very very immersion breaking. Yes, because I was immersed.
Like it's like, here kids, have these nightmares before doing your bedtime routine.
Did you ever want to see Elmo blink?
Yeah. And also, maybe it's just me, but I feel like Elmo's voice has gotten even more high pitched since he got the new actor. And there were actually moments that I could not understand Elmo.
Really?
Yeah, not like a lot, but he like there's times where he'll say like one word and like there's no context, and he's just so high pitched. He doesn't really have much of a dynamic range in terms of talking. It's just he starts up and he stays up, and then he goes to sleep. I mean, I will say, even though this is obviously designed for young children, clearly this was made with the intention, at least, that like some adults would probably be watching with their kids, as Sesame Street is. Not that there's like adult jokes or anything, but I don't know. It's not, the language isn't super talk down 100% of the time, like something like, I don't know, like Dora the Explorer is or whatever. So yeah, and I don't know. I was not a big fan of this. I mean, there were a few things that were charming. I think the Rubber Ducky song, of course, is a classic. Elmo's song was cute, but
yeah, I feel like this was definitely made with the intent of like parents recognizing the celebrities, kids
Mhm.
recognizing the Sesame Street
Well,
characters.
and parents
As
recognizing the Sesame Street characters too.
well, yeah, and that too.
Yeah,
But
what is up with
you
these
know, outside of
guests?
that,
Like Jimmy Fallon, I guess.
Jimmy Fallon at least makes sense because they put him in the first episode to be like, okay, he's gonna teach Elmo how
Also,
to do this. Like,
Elmo is a
fine, okay,
rude
that's set
talk
up.
show host who doesn't even know the profession of the guy he has on his first
Yeah.
episode. He's like, "Oh, Elmo didn't know you did a talk show," and it's like, "Okay, Elmo, sure. I'm supposed to believe that you just coincidentally booked Jimmy Fallon. I see through you, Elmo."
Elmo sees through you. You can't beat him in a staring contest. Jimmy Fallon tried.
So what I was trying to figure
He
out,
tried.
what I was trying to figure out in the 3 episodes is how much of the show is scripted. Is it entirely scripted, or is it like 80% scripted with a little bit of like wiggle room for the guests to interact with Elmo? And as far as I can tell, I'm pretty sure the whole thing is scripted.
I'm pretty sure the whole thing is scripted too. That's what it came
Yeah.
across. I didn't feel like much at all was improvised. So
There was a technically impressive thing, Elmo tricycling and like talking and moving and stuff. I don't know how they did that. I genuinely don't know. Did you see that episode? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the third one with John Mulaney,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, because he raced John
Yeah.
Mulaney.
Yeah, no, I was impressed too. I was like, dang, that's pretty good.
So that's neat.
Good puppeteering.
So one thing that did make me laugh is in the audience in each episode they have random Muppets. Sometimes it'll be
They
like
do.
the number 2 or like a football. That genuinely got me to laugh because it's very, very unexpected, especially the first time. I like Cookie Monster too. I think I don't know. I think Cookie Monster really
Yeah.
had the charisma that I wasn't getting from Elmo.
The other I just lost my the other thing is I haven't watched Sesame Street in a long time. So there were some characters like I don't know who the fairy one, the
That's
pink
Abby
fairy
Cadabby.
was.
I only know that because of my
I-
girlfriend.
I didn't know the green one. Not Oscar.
Oscar
I know
the Grouch
Oscar.
is in the show.
The
Yeah,
other-
there was actually a funny joke about that where Oscar was going to trash talk celebrities, but then they were out of time. That was actually kind of funny.
That made
Yeah.
me laugh. But the other one, and then the other thing that's weird is there's a lot of playing with temporality in the sense that there's one part where they somehow fast forward a live performance.
It was magic.
It was magic. I don't know. I was like,
Do you not believe in magic, Shadow?
I mean, I believe in magic. I don't know if magic can make one thing happen and make one thing fast forward while all of time around it stays in the same rate. I don't know. That was a little like, what is this witchcraft? But
I think
I don't know.
think what kind of just got on my nerves personally. Again, as an adult, I understand why it's like this. The rate at which they changed topics was just like
I was so
it
fast.
felt very like they were trying to hold a young kid's attention, which is what they're trying to do. So that's completely fair. But as an adult watching it just really I was like, wait, no, I want to hear Jimmy Fallon say something else. Jimmy Fallon is in that first episode for like 2 minutes, and then Elmo's like, all right, Elmo's got better things to do. Bye. Gotta go sing with Casey Musgraves.
Yep. Sing me a song. Okay, thank you. Here's a picture. Okay.
Does Lil
out.
Nas X have any songs that are child appropriate? Aside from
He's
Elmo's
gonna
song?
take his horse to the old town road.
Oh, that's who Lil Nas is. Okay, then
Yeah.
I guess that's relevant to children because everyone's heard that song.
Yeah, that was a very 2019.
Fair
thing.
enough. Think they'll have Ninja on?
Oh no! I hope.
Oh
not.
man.
I hope he goes on there and talks about NFL kickers.
You know, obviously this is cute. Obviously this is very professionally made. I also didn't have like super high hopes for me enjoying it, but I just kind of feel like it could have been better. I feel like it could have been a little more, I don't know, maybe focused or have more of a point to it because it really isn't a talk show and it really isn't an educational show. But and especially if it's not every day, then like it's not even something kids can watch in a regular routine. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll get better with time, and maybe it's maybe kids love it. I don't know. I haven't polled children yet. I gotta make a Twitter poll. Hey, anyone under the age of 6, please reply.
Yeah.
Please vote.
I need to know your opinions on this show.
Yeah, Elmo talks
Yeah,
with PewDiePie.
honestly,
Oh gosh.
I don't see myself continuing with this one. I got my fill
Yeah.
with the 3 episodes. That's all I needed to see. It's not bad, but it's just kind of like it's there.
Right, and I mean it is
Not a pioneer for HBO Max by any stretch.
Yeah, but I think a part of it is that it is kind of being billed as one of the standout show. Like it's one of the 6 or 4 originals, however many there are. So, I mean, a lot of people are probably going to check it out. It's just kind of an odd thing to bill as like I don't know, a big thing.
Yeah.
So
Elmo talks with Logan Paul. Elmo talks with Mr. Beast. Elmo talks with Markiplier. Yeah, let's just make it a YouTuber show. Elmo talks with Pie Guy Rules. What?
Elmo discusses Johnny Test with Nintendo.
Could you imagine if you went on season 2 and Elmo's like, "So I hear you don't like my show, Pie?"
Yep.
I guess
Elmo feels like you are hurting Elmo's feelings.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now it's time for Elmo to hurt you.
Elmo does not like that you don't like how Elmo closes Elmo's eyes. Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I'd like to see Elmo
I'd
interview
see that.
Kermit.
I'd
That'd
watch that.
be cute.
That would be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think, chat? Anyone who saw this, how do you guys feel about this? Let's get some polls. Elmo talks with Elmo, the controversial existential episode. Also, why is the intro just like his parents chiding him to go to sleep? Like,
yeah, and it's like every single
it's the
time.
same exact thing. It's
like, do you have that conversation every is that like Elmo's going on this talk show on different nights, but you have the exact same chain of events play out? Like, do you plan this? Is this like a routine?
I think Elmo's parents are really just sick of him trying to squeeze in a talk show right before bed. That's really not teaching kids the right thing. It's like,
yeah,
when your parents tell you to go to sleep, they don't mean do a talk show. All right. Yeah, Elmo has parents. I know. I was surprised too. Oh man. Interesting stuff. Okay. I don't know if chat has caught up to when I asked that question.
Yeah,
or if just no one has anything
I'm
to
reading
say.
the responses.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's mostly just Elmo talks with insert person here. Elmo talks with Brian Robbins.
Elmo talks with a therapist. To discuss his compulsive need to talk show host. Oh yeah, Batman's gonna be in an episode. They had that in a preview.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they showed that in a preview.
Oh my gosh.
So
all right, maybe I have to watch that one at least.
Yep. So all right, well, that was our featured discussions. Definitely check out Looney Tunes. If you don't have HBO Max and you don't want to get the free trial, just check out like the shorts that are on YouTube YouTube at least. Because they give you a pretty good feel about what the show is.
Yep. Yep, I second that.
So all right. Should we move right along to question and answers?
Yeah, we can move right into Q&A. I'm fine with that.
All right, guys. So bring us your questions. This is the part of the show where if you want to super chat, or if you don't want to super chat and just want to ask questions or bring up stuff for us to talk about, feel free. We're going to be keeping our eyes on the chat like hawks.
Yeah, so to start, I think I actually wanted to ask you this question. I figured this would be a good opener to Q&A while people start asking. What is a feature that you would like to see implemented on a streaming service that doesn't already exist? I'm curious if there's anything you'd like to see on a platform that they don't already do. Because I have something that I would love to see, but I don't know how feasible it is.
Wasn't paying attention to anything you said.
Okay.
Someone on Twitter, I'll retweet it. Actually, no, not someone. CDCB, who's doing a lot of the VHS archive type stuff, just sent a picture of Blossom with they're not as disturbingly long as Bugs Bunny's fingers, but just Blossom with fingers. And it's
Oh dear. Oh
I just
no.
retweeted it, so anyone
Oh
that wants to
no.
see it. Um
I'm
yep,
scared.
yep. So okay, sorry. You had like a really good thing to say, and I just was not paying attention. So please tell me again.
It's okay. I was just asking you, is there a feature for a streaming service that does not exist but you would love to see implemented? Like something that you think services could use that they don't
Yes,
have?
I said it in my Disney Plus review. I want there to be a thing that says before you watch, here, watch this, like this comes before this chronologically. You know, if you're gonna watch Tangled the series, make sure you watch the little TV movie that precedes the series. If you're gonna watch Lilo and Stitch the series,
Hmm.
make sure you watch Stitch the series first. If you're gonna watch Avengers Endgame, watch Infinity War first. Just a little thing on the side that's like, hey, just so you know, this is a sequel. You know, check this out first if you want the full story. I think would be really sweet, and I think would make a lot of sense, especially on Disney with things like the whole Marvel timeline. How about you?
Hmm. So I was thinking about this earlier this week, which is why I wanted to ask this because I would love to see a feature that to bring TV back, quote unquote, in a sense. I would love to see a playlist feature, kind of like Spotify or other streaming music streaming services, where you can create a playlist of all your favorite shows, movies, whatever, and you can shuffle it, and then it will randomly give you something that is in the playlist. So if you don't know what you're in the mood for, if you just like TV, it's like, well, I don't really know let's see what's on. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. You go to your playlist, hit shuffle, boom, gives you a random episode of a show, or gives you a random episode, a random movie, or something like that. I think that'd be really cool because I know that's definitely a thing. It's not just a TV thing. Nothing's on. It's same thing with streaming. Maybe you don't know what you're in the mood for, or you just want to watch something random. I think that'd be a really cool feature because sometimes one of the downfalls, in my opinion, well, not really downfall, but downsides of streaming is if you want to watch a show, it, typically it's made to promote binge watching, but maybe I just want to watch a random episode of one
Mm-hmm.
thing and I don't want to just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
I think that'd be a really cool thing. I don't know how feasible that would be, but I think it'd be cool if
it's
they did have
also
that.
nice to search for specific episode titles. Some services have it. I think Hulu has it, but like other things just
Hmm.
don't. Like if you know the name of an episode of something, but you don't, like maybe I don't remember which series of Ben 10 it's from, and I don't feel like scrolling through, five
Yeah.
different things. I could just search, Ben 10,000 and it would come up. That's a nice feature.
Yeah, or
That
even which season it's in.
Yeah, they should all have.
I agree.
Also, I want to point out Ridley Craig also sent me a version of the Powerpuff Girls with creepy Bugs Bunny fingers. So thank you for that too. I retweeted that. And we got a super chat from Tim Whitfield. Think Spy Fox would make a good
Hmm.
animated show? Actually, yeah, I could see it. I
Yeah,
could definitely see it.
yeah, I could see it.
It
I'd love to see Humongous Entertainment properties
it
come back.
basically
So
is an
yeah.
episode of some like it. There's cutscenes that are animated, and it's got a sense of humor, and I don't know that it would be particularly strong. Like it's just kind of a spy parody, which there's already a bunch of. But like, I think it'd be
Hmm.
cool. I would much rather see Pajama Sam personally, but I think it could work.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I think any of the properties, if it's Pup Pup, people might say it's a Cars ripoff, but Freddy Fish, Spy Fox, Pajama Sam, yeah, I could see
We
it.
got
I'd be
a
down.
comment from Falling with Style, which I think is Brian from Twitter. This is a question from Elmo. What is your problem with Elmo's eyes? Don't you want Elmo to be able to sleep each night? Longtime viewer, thank you. Elmo, listen. You got to be one of those people that learns to sleep with your eyes open, buddy, because do you want the children of the world to be able to sleep at night? Because if you do, you need to stop having eyelids just this second. The problem is that you don't have them consistently. If they made an Elmo puppet that always had eyelids, yeah, it would take some getting used to, but at least that would be like a consistent thing with Elmo. But just having like one very specific time where he's got these, I don't know whether they're CG on or how they even did it, but it just looks wrong. It'd be like SpongeBob without his eyelashes.
Yeah.
Um,
Eyelashes.
and speaking of Ridley Craig, thanks for Photoshop. Thanks for the super chat as well. What is one thing that will instantly kill a protagonist for you aside from being annoying? Oh, I got one.
Okay.
Being really whiny and neurotic. You see this with a lot of Woody Allen characters, like the protagonist from Ants,
Mm-hmm.
which like just it's fine to have a character who doubts himself and questions himself and is articulate about the world around, but like a character who's always like, oh, I don't know what to do, it bothers me so much, I don't like this, and I'm scared of this, and I don't. It's like, just shut up, God. I don't know. Am I alone? Have you ever seen a character like that?
No, no.
Like,
I was thinking of something similar in that vein. Characters who
Filbert from Rocko's
my
Modern Life is great, by the way. He's used in perfect moderation. Continue.
Okay. I was thinking like whiny, but also like crybabies. Like, one of the thing that like really irked me was stuff like, the beginning of My Hero Academia, or even like Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh in some cases, where at the very beginning of the series, they are crybabies. They cry at this like the tiniest little thing that sets them off. It's like, dude, come on, put on your big boy pants. You can handle this. Stop crying at the smallest.
Are you
little
talking about
things.
Caillou?
Oh, that drives me up. Ugh, that's disgusting. But yeah, no, that's the thing that like took me a while to get into My Hero, is like the entire first like season. It just feels like Izuku's just like a whiny crybaby, and he just won't stop crying. And it's like, calm down.
All
Come
right.
on. Like, this is excessive. So yeah, that's my answer.
Here's a question from Caden Ward. Have you seen We Gotta Get SpongeBob Back? Do you know what that's from, actually? Do you know what that like is a reference to?
That was no, I do not. I just know the animation.
It's a line from Pickles. When Squidward's burning down the grill and SpongeBob's all like out of it, Mr. Krabs is like, we gotta get SpongeBob back. So
okay.
Shadow, what's your least what's your least and favorite episode of the Powerpuff Girls?
Favorite is Powerpuff Girls' best rainy day adventure ever, and my least favorite is a tie between a few. We did a discussion 2 years ago on Toast to the Town, Say Uncle, and Sweet and Sour, although I also think that Neighborhood and City and Frownsville are also up there. So there's my top five. I don't really have a definitive I don't have a definitive one out of those five. Also, Girls Gone Wild's pretty good too.
And by the way, you don't have to drink any soda if I bring up the Powerpuff Girls. Just if Shadow brings it up apropos of nothing. Or apropos of something. But yeah, no, I those episodes that Shadow's mentioned. I also don't like the stupid Sasquatch episode where they think it's like their cousin from out of town.
That's Say Uncle.
Yeah, right. And from the original run, or from the early run, y'all know I'm not a big fan of Monkey See Doggy 2. So
it's a good episode.
Say Uncle's a great Steven Universe episode, but a bad Powerpuff Girls. From Lewis Robinson, what would both of you say is your favorite episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy? The movie is pretty good. I mean,
Big picture,
I'll disqualify
yeah.
that because it's not an episode, but like the movie's pretty dang good. I
have to think.
From the early run, definitely the Fad episode.
Oh yeah, that's a good
where
one.
They're just so behind
really
on
like
every fad. Like, it's a really great just like, I don't know, framing device and joke, and it's like something that's pretty relatable. And it's just like, I don't know, it's a good way to show the Ed's out of touch. I really like the one where Ed gets a pebble in his shoe and is grumpy the whole episode. And the one where he thinks he's a monster from a horror movie.
I was actually gonna mention that one. I love that one. That one's really good. I also really like the one where they're trying to get the when they're at the lake or whatever, and they're trying to get that spot, and Kevin has it. Oh, that's such a good episode too. I love that one.
How about 1 + 1 = Ed? That's like the only one that I know the actual title of. And I think that's.
I also like the one where they tell Johnny a bedtime story.
Yes.
And they're stuck in the wall. Yeah, that was good.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, we could just sit here naming like a bunch of really good episodes.
Absolutely.
trying to think what's my from like the school era, which I like those episodes. So
I haven't seen those episodes in so long. I mean, when it's on HBO Max, I'll be sure to watch through them.
well, Brouhaha, the Halloween one is like legitimately disturbing. Like the violence in that episode is surprising for Ed and Eddie. So yeah. I think what school era episodes? Well, there's one where Ed is a cobbler mascot, and I like that because he's a pie. There's one where Eddie just pretends to be a bunch of different foreign exchange students, and it just gets progressively pathetic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
These all sound great.
yeah,
Like the premises as you're telling me that, I'm like, wow, I'm actually I want to see
yep,
these
yep.
now.
How about from season 6? There's one where they go to a dance. It's one of the 2 episodes or the 11 minutes in season 6 where they get prepared to go to a school dance and they're all nervous and stuff. Yeah, the prom one. Yep. Well, actually, I don't think it's prom. I think it's just a dance.
Classic videos with Sam, the one where Ed gets grounded. That's that's a classic. That one's so good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, we need another
Yeah.
question.
Let's see. I asked Shadow this before. How would you feel if Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network made a live-action Powerpuff Girls movie for HBO or theaters? From Media Fanatic asked that. I no. Why? No. The Powerpuff Girls have a design that would never work in live action, so they would inevitably be CG in a live action world, and inevitably, even in CG, the girls would look disturbing. So, no, thank you.
No, the girls.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be
in a 3D
surprised
space.
because the thing is that like you think about stuff like the Smurfs and the Yogi Bear movie and all that stuff. Like that stuff happened that stuff happened for nostalgic reasons, not because those properties were hot at the moment. Like Alvin and the Chipmunks. The CG series came after they did those movies. So I could very much see a world where in like 10, 15 years we get a slew of like live action Powerpuff Girls, live action oh god, I don't know. Dexter's Lab?
Live action
No.
Live action Courage the Cowardly
No.
Dog. Yeah, no. I don't want any of this. No.
Yeah.
None of it. I don't want any
Thanks
of it.
for the super chat.
It doesn't
Tim.
work.
Thoughts on Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh? That's the series. I loved that. I watched that a lot as a child. And the theme song is just an absolute killer theme song, and it's a cute show.
I don't have much memory of it. I might have watched it when I was super young, but I don't have any memories of it. So, what's the best cartoon character impression you can do, Pi?
Oh no. I'm trying to think of the impressions that I've done on my channel. I think my Rick is okay. I'm not gonna do it now off the cuff though. How about you, Shadow? You love to do impressions that disturb me.
I would say I'm most proud of my him impression, which I'm not going to do. And also my Fred
Shadow
voice
Street.
I'm pretty proud of.
Sorry.
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing it. Also, I am proud of my Fred Burger. I think it's pretty good. And I've been working on my Seto Kaiba voice. So, I don't know. I've been practicing for that one. No, that's
Pegasus and him are basically the same character when you really get
Pegasus is yeah.
I think when Pegasus
if I just lower my pitch a little bit, it'd be Pegasus.
When Pegasus dies, he becomes him.
Yeah, basically.
I have a question. My friend got HBO Max early, and he can only get it on his Xbox. Will it be made available to stream on everything, do you think? From CN Awesome. We still don't really know what it's coming to. I would assume if they're really trying to make this a legitimate streaming service, they'll want it to come to everything, or at least everything that Disney Plus and Netflix are on.
Yeah.
But the timetable on when is a question mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll take time, but I don't know. I think it's foolish not to be able to have it on Roku or Amazon or
probably not the Switch, because like nothing came to that except for Hulu for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Toonjay saying it has this at the same time that I did. Thoughts on Clarence from Yuval Cohen?
Barely watched it. I have any interest in Clarence. It just seemed too boring to
Yeah,
me.
it was okay from the little bit that I saw. It just didn't really. It seemed like a less interesting Steven Universe. I mean, I know the shows don't really have that much in common with each other, but just they were coming out at similar times, and I don't.
It came off as a slightly better Doug to me.
Don't go there. All right.
Look,
Listen, Nick and
want it
Moore
to be a
chewed me
point
out
that
because we were hating
no,
on Doug.
I want to make
He
it.
said that
I want to make it a point. This is a Doug haters podcast. The only show we are allowed to hate all the time is Doug. Okay, like there are certain things we
No
can't
Doug
bring up,
shaming.
but Doug is allowed. We can talk poorly about Doug whenever.
Hey, how about this?
Doug shaming?
Can
all
I
the way.
can I say now in retrospect, Craig of the Creek looks like a better Clarence.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't really.
That's fair.
Clarence as a character didn't really endear me. Like I think that's ultimately kind of what happened. I saw the Silent episode. It was kind of cute, or the throwback Fletcher animation episode.
Mm-hmm. I don't know much of anything at all about Clarence.
From
so
HP
it
Mento.
just didn't
When is
interest
my boy Doug getting that second movie?
me. It ain't happening. I'm sorry.
It'll
to
be live
disappoint
action.
you.
It'll be live action.
No. Oh, as if you could. That's like the only way you can make it work.
What if it was a horror movie and it was
Okay, well, I don't even know if that would be Doug Funny anymore. That'd be Doug Scary in G major.
Okay. From Puppet Time, you heard about Yummer. Love your channel, Pie Guy. I have not. What is Yummer?
I don't know.
Is
Let
it
me look
is
up.
it like a Food Network streaming service? I could see it.
Yummer.
Oh god, please don't have this be something horribly inappropriate.
Oh, here we go. This is interesting. Yummer is the name given to a mysterious and creepy head, which appears in the files of the Nickelodeon web browser game SpongeBob
Oh,
Saves
it's the
Day.
thing Velsky Bum was on about.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw his
creepy.
thumbnail. I didn't watch this video.
It's actually kind of creepy.
Nick, we can change his name from Doug Funny to Doug Spooky. All right, would that make you feel better about my live action Doug horror movie? Pork Chop will be the villain, obviously, because no dog can do what that dog has done. Doug.
I mean, his name should really be Doug Awful. Let's be real. Look, I'm
Doug's-
sorry. I'm outing myself as a Doug
Jeez.
hater, but like I am.
From what Nick and Moore told me, the Halloween and Christmas episodes are like the worst episodes. So I feel like my perspective has
I've
been
heard the
tainted.
Christmas
So
ones. Yeah.
Mm.
Doug Borman.
Doug
is
Shortman.
right. Ugh. Worst Phineas and Ferb song.
Mate. Oh God, it's got to be from like the roller coaster musical episode. Maybe. I'm trying to think. There's like one or two songs in that episode that are just so forgettable and bland, which is surprising, especially for that episode, or especially for that show.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to like go back because there's so many that I like remember for being great, but there's not like one that I remember for being awful, which I guess is a good thing because it means at worst the song that I would consider. bad
Oh
is
yes,
forgettable.
thank you, Nick. Sorry. Continued.
Oh no, I was done my thought anyways.
Nick reminded me. So in Roller Coaster the Musical, there's the song sung by Doofenshmirtz. And now Doofenshmirtz has an odd voice, and he can pull off some songs, surprisingly, but there are certain times when his voice can get kind of grating, like if he has to speak for all the characters in the Alka files. And he has a song in that which goes, "Back in Gimmel Stomp." Like, it's sung like that. It's like a power ballad. Not even a power. I don't know what it is, but it's a nightmare to my ears. Yeah.
Jeez. Ugh. Now that you can watch all of Dexter's Lab on HBO Max, what do you think about the 2001-2003 era? I personally think they're okay, but understand why people don't like them. I think they're okay too, except for Sore Eyes. Sore Eyes from Dexter's Lab is like a personal scariest episode of cartoon I've ever seen.
I'm sorry for everyone's headphones. I'm sorry.
Oh, did it?
Well, I sang back in Gimmel Stomp.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's Sore Eyes gives me nightmares. That That scared me to death as a kid. Whenever
Oh,
I'd see that episode on TV, I'd have to like change the
is
channel. Like it just freaked me out. Where Dexter, like his eyesight's starting to go, so he gives himself eye surgery, but he makes his eyesight so perfect that he can see the imperfections of everybody around him. So his family becomes these distorted, disgusting,
you know
like
that face at the end of
demonic.
whatever happened to SpongeBob SquarePants? The
Hmm.
yeah, it's SpongeBill or
Yeah,
whatever. Like it's basically everyone on Dexter's Lab becomes a gross up close up.
yeah, and it's like, oh, that just makes me shudder. I don't, I could not stand that as a child. That scared me so much.
Yeah, no, I as a kid, I was not the biggest Dexter's Lab fan, and to be honest with you, I really wasn't that bothered by the later seasons. But you also have to remember that it's not like this stuff was on like a DVD that or like streaming that I watched every episode in a row and then was like, ah,
Hmm.
yes, this is a notable downgrade from what came before. Like, no, the episodes were just kind of shuffled and aired randomly in reruns. So I don't really remember being bothered by them, but I don't really remember even thinking about it. Because Dexter's Lab also aired when I was pretty young.
Hmm.
So back before Truth or Square came out and caused me to doubt everything that anyone has ever made in television. Nick, don't you dare. All right. See, and Awesome says Shadow. They subscribe to you and Monsters. Aw.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure Monsters would say
Thank
thank
you
you
so
too if you were here.
much.
Oh, so we had a super chat from JT Loves Code Lyoko. Sorry, Lyoko. I don't know why I said that wrong. Your opinion on Miraculous Ladybug and Code Lyoko. I have never seen either of the show. I caught like glimpses of Code Lyoko on Magoozy back in the day, but I'd never seen the
Yeah,
show
I
in
remember
full. It never
Makuzi.
really interested me that much. And I've never seen Ladybug, but I know your girlfriend likes Ladybug, I think.
Yeah, my girlfriend Taylor is crazy about Ladybug. She loves the show. It's one of her like favorite shows on currently that's being made. So she would have way more to say about it than I do. I've seen it like when she's had it on. It seems all right. It seems to have an interesting, an interesting plot line going. I can't say too much about it though. But in terms of Code
Uh,
Lyoko, there was a time where I was like crazy into Code Lyoko. Like I remember coming home from school every day and just being like, "All right, Code Lyoko time. Let's go. Got to see what happens. Where's Aelita?" And I don't really remember it that much now, and I'm sure the CG is definitely dated, but I always liked it for having the 2D, 3D hybrid type style going where you got your real life is told in the 2D environment, but then you go inside the computer and it's 3D animation. I was like, that was like, oh, that's so cool. um the episode that always sticks with me, the one I always immediately remember whenever I think of Code Lyoko, is the one with the gas, because I remember Code Lyoko in some of the situations that the characters could get into in the real life where they're like really close to dying. It's like, geez, this is like messed up. Like there's one where I think it's the gym coach or something, and two of the students are trapped in this janitor's closet, and there's this poisonous fog that's like filling up the school or whatever, and it's like trying to seep into the closet and gas them, like, and it's like, geez, this is messed up. Like, wow. It's I was like surprised at how dark Code Lyoko could get with some of its like near death situations. So,
I
but yeah, overall, I
I
like
mean,
it
I
though.
take it back. It's not that I wasn't interested in watching it. It was just definitely that it seemed like the kind of show where you needed to see it from the beginning, and I didn't. And it did not
Hmm.
seem like the kind of show where I could just jump in at some point in Magoozy's run of it. Like it definitely did
Hmm.
look like there were times when I would watch like the CG sequences and be like, oh wow, that's interesting. Um, okay, we've got another super chat from Spongy Devotee. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts on Mega Evolution, Z moves, and Dyna slash Gigantamax moves? How would you rank them from favorite to least favorite? I personally completely avoided those Pokemon games like the plague, and I think Dyna and Gigantamax looks kind of stupid. I hate the red aura around it. I think it just I think if they got rid of the aura, they might look better. But I will defer to Shadow on this one.
Um. So basically, the order you listed them in your question is the order I would rank them from best to worst. I think Mega Evolution was actually a great idea, and a very cool thing to see the series, take as like a next step in the battle mechanics. And I wish they never dropped
Oh,
it
I completely missed out on
because
the first two parts of that question. I read it and then just Sorry. No,
Oh,
you keep
yeah,
going.
no. I think Mega
I'll give my
Evolution.
answer later.
I think Mega Evolution was, yeah, it was great. I loved the idea. I thought the concept was really cool. It's like, yeah, it's just a shame that instead of giving Mega Evolutions to Pokemon that really needed it, it's like, oh, let's just buff a bunch of the Ubers. Let's give Charizard two forms. Let's give Salamence and Metagross and Garchomp and Tyranitar. It's like these are already Uber Pokemon. They don't need the Mega Evolution. Give them to some Pokemon like I'm glad Pokemon like Ampharos and Altaria got, megas, where it's like, okay, yeah, let's give them to some lesser Pokemon. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say lesser, but you know what I mean. It's just like it was such and like Slowbro and Sableye.
Yes,
that one.
Sableye is my favorite Pokemon. So of course I think of those three mechanics, Mega Evolution is the best. I agree that it's kind of dumb that they gave him to like the most powerful Pokemon anyway. They gave 2 to Charizard, 2 to Mewtwo. Like kind of dumb in that respect, but I think the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire ones were a lot better in doing just kind of miscellaneous Pokemon that didn't have evolutions or just kind of like are overlooked. And of course, they snuck in a few powerful ones in there too. But no, Mega Evolution feels like a more fleshed out mechanic than any of the other two. Z moves, it really feels like a one-hit KO thing, especially in the actual story. You just kind of have to self-impose that you're not going to use them because you'll just break everything, and it just takes time. I would rather take a second turn in battle than have to sit through that animation every single time. So when the game is discouraging me from using the most powerful thing at my arsenal because it makes the game too easy and too boring to watch through, then that's a poorly thought out thing. I don't know about in terms of competitive battling, but I think Mega Evolution struck that best balance between something that really felt new and innovative. It didn't necessarily break the game in the same way, although obviously it makes your Pokemon more powerful. But I think they locked it further in the game than Z moves are locked in. Z moves you pretty much get right away after the first. So and like I said, not a fan of Dyna or Gigantamax, but I didn't play those games, so I don't know.
It just feels like Dyna/Gigantamaxing is just like a combination of like Z moves and megas, and it's 3 turns, and I don't know. I was just kind of like, I don't care. I don't care.
It's like they looked at the problem of not every Pokemon can have a Mega Evolution and decided to just kind of do Mega Evolution again, but like much lamer.
Yeah, and then like not have the Dyna/Gigantamax forms be the Mega Evolutions, but new forms. I don't know. I'm just not a fan.
Byleth Penny
Next question.
Byleth Penny Bicycle 21 says, "Have you seen Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island?" Not yet,
but I heard it was bad.
Oh dang, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that it was like it was one of those cases where it's like, hey, look, this original thing did really well. Let's just do it again. Oh, remember that? Remember when that happened in the original? It's happening here too. It felt like it didn't actually understand why people love the original so well, from what I've heard. So I've seen like 5-minute clips here and there. But
Fair enough.
That's all I needed to see.
Fair enough. Do you plan on buying Paper Mario: The Origami King? All right, we're on video games now. Here we go. I plan on seeing a lot more information about it and definitely not getting it day one. Shadow and I had a long discussion about Paper Mario the other day, and really,
we did.
Where I come down to it is that, like, hey, the trailer that was released looks cute, like the story looks cute, but the story, like, the biggest problem in the past 2 games is just that the battle mechanics, the actual gameplay is not fun. It's simplistic, it's dumb, it's filled with intrinsic problems, it's slow. And so like if they show me that that's fixed, plus that the story is interesting, then I'll be excited. But as of right now, after Color Splash, after Sticker Star, after even the crossover with Mario and Luigi, just all were disappointments. I need to see my goodwill for that series is done. So
I don't have any faith in it.
They need to prove to me that they fixed those things before I'm even going to risk any amount of money on that game. So, and if that means if that means I sleep on it for months and it's a great game and I get to the party late, I'm completely fine with that.
They've completely killed my faith in Paper Mario with the past few releases. I'm at the point where I'm so ambivalent and so, oh, what's the word?
Disillusioned.
Yeah, disillusioned, desensitized to the thought of a new Paper Mario game coming out and being good that I just they've burned me too
Yeah.
many times.
I think it's fine to be optimistic about it. If you don't feel like let down with the previous games, if you don't feel burned too many times, if you look at the trailer and you're excited for it, that's completely fine. I think that's like super fine. It's just a matter of when it comes to stuff like this, when it comes to trailers and previews and stuff that there is little information to go on, no one knows what the game is really going to be like yet. No one knows. So what I'm doing is guessing. What someone who's saying this is going to be awesome is doing is guessing. What someone is saying this is going to be complete garbage is saying. All guesses, all basically equally possible, or all technically possible. It's just a matter of how you like. This is how predictions work, right? You look at trends, you look at past experiences, and you use them to predict what's going to happen. Of course, big 180s can happen. Things can turn around. Companies can pull themselves up and save properties and franchises, and sequels can turn out great and amazing and whatever. But you can't make guesses like that with nothing to go on. So if the trailer is enough for you to say this looks awesome and that's your prediction, that's completely fine. And yes, I have heard of Arlo. I love him. He's great.
Yep, I agree.
All right.
I will say I also like the concept of the game,
Yes.
like the origami thing. I think that is a cool new direction for the series to head into. I just wish it was used on a game that I was actually excited for.
Yeah, I like the idea of Peach being like an origami villain or like corrupted or whatever's going on. Have I seen Arlo's Bug Fables review? I have not, but I actually own Bug Fables. I picked it up a while ago. I think it was in early access, or I pre-ordered it or something. Have you heard of it, Shadow?
That's cool. I remember seeing that video in my sub box, but I never watched it.
Gaming videos are definitely the kind that I watch some and not all.
Am I planning to rewatch Dexter's Lab? Probably, yeah. On HBO Max.
Yep. Magic Veman says that they own Shiny Poplio. Nice.
Hey. Not bad.
All right, well, we're going to go for maybe another 10, 15 minutes. So,
speaking of shiny Pokemon, not well, it's not really shiny, but I actually went out today to a collectible store and I ended up finding a original holographic Blastoise Pokemon card. So I got it, which is pretty cool. It's not as rare as holographic Charizard, obviously, but still, holographic Blastoise is a pretty rare card. So
neat.
Pretty happy I snagged that.
What are your opinions on Reanimates and other collab-based projects like SpongeBob, Kirby, Reanimate, Goodbye Otter, or SpongeBob, Kirby, Goodbye Otters, Reanimate, etc.? That they're neat. They're definitely neat. I think it's really cool that a bunch of talented animators can come together and collaborate and on anything really. Like it doesn't matter, you know. It's good practice. I feel like you might say, okay, well, why does someone with talent and ambition and all this stuff, why would they waste their time working on something someone else made instead of making something original? The answer is it's good practice. It's good when you have a guideline to go off of. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And I think that's a really great way to practice your skills. It's how a lot of writers get started. They write basically fan fiction. It's like a real thing. You write a spec script as just practice, you know? So I think the end result is really neat.
Yeah. I agree. I actually am a big fan of the Freaky Fred one that was done back in 2019. That one's really good, especially with how Courage is known for having some pretty, dynamic looking villains. So the stylization that some of those animators put into Fred is top notch. So that's definitely a Reanimate project I highly recommend everyone check out if you're into that, because it's great.
Mark H asks, most charts VHS you either still own or used to own. So I re-recorded over like my same VHS tapes over and over again. And recently I've been digitizing my old home movies. And amongst the home movies, amongst something of like a recording of someone in my family that was on the news, basically at the end of that, there was like that recorded, and then the rest of the video was uh one morning of Kids WB, and I got to
Hmm.
watch. I had this nostalgic experience of watching with the promos and everything. It must have been circa like 2001 or 2002 or something. It was an episode of Pokemon Bye Bye, not sorry, not Bye Bye Butterfree. It was oh, what's the one with Charmander called? It's like Charmander and or
Oh, I know what you're
yeah,
talking
it's the one
about.
where his owner abandons him and everything.
Yeah.
It's a sad
Hmm.
episode. It's pretty good. Um, but anyway, I saw that. I saw an episode of Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries, which was awful. That show is awful. They don't they don't solve mysteries, and the slapstick is just kind of lame. Um, Pretty dumb. And then it was like 2 hours of Soul Train after, just on the V. I must have just let the VHS tape run. But if you didn't know, at the end of Kids WB, it would be like an hour and a half of this thing called Soul Train, which is just people dancing. I think I've never seen like anything but like like the opening bit, and it's like a dance show. I don't know. It's very soulful. I'll tell you that much. Charmander the stray Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had an answer, but I have not found my VHS tapes wherever they are in my parents' house. They're somewhere. I don't even know what I have. I need to find
Mm-mm.
them at some point. I have no idea where they could be. They could be in the basement. They could be in a closet somewhere. I have no idea. So that's something I'll have to look
Mm-mm.
into.
Why don't you get one, Shadow?
Uh,
I was waiting to
yeah.
let you talk, and then
Yeah, you're fine. I actually see we just got a $5 super chat from Spongy Devotee. What are your favorite starter Pokemon per region?
was the grass type.
Always the grass
No,
type.
not always the grass type, but Gen 1,
Okay.
it's Bulbasaur. All right. Gen 2,
Oh, Bulbasaur.
everyone's
Okay.
favorite Bulbasaur. Gen 2, Chikorita. Um, Gen 3, I mean, I do like Mudkips, certainly, but I gotta go with uh Trico. Yes. Gen 4 is Turtwig all the way. Although I like Piplup. Gen 5, Snivy. Gen 6. Now, Gen 6 is where we finally migrate because that grass type was awful. Sorry. Sorry.
Yes, I agree.
I broke the chain and I went with oh gosh, Froakie on my first playthrough. And then Gen 7, Rowlet is great. So
In Gen 8?
I didn't play Gen 8.
I know.
Gen 8, they're all
For
trash.
me, for me, assuming we're just doing the base evolution, it would be Charmander Gen 1, Cyndaquil Gen 2, Gen 3 is in terms of all the starters, I think is the best. Torchic, Gen 4 Piplup, Gen 5 Oshawott, Gen 6 Fennekin, Gen 7 Poplio, Gen 8.
Are you intentionally
I don't
not
like any of them.
choosing a single grass type?
I am not intentionally choosing a single grass type. I never choose the grass type when I play a game. I always prefer water or fire types. I like grass types. I just don't like grass type starters that much. Like I like Roserade. Roserade's my favorite grass type. Like no doubt. Roserade's a great Pokemon. But I don't know. I just never picked the grass starter except Trico.
Hmm.
Cause Grovyle and Sceptile, cool. Grovyle's my favorite mid stage evolution for a starter.
All right, guys, we're gonna go for like another 5 minutes. So get your last questions in now. uh, um, have you seen Mortal Kombat's Legends Scorpion's Revenge from Penny Bicycle?
Is that recent animated movie they did? Cause I have not seen it, but it looked interesting. I remember Scorpion beats up Daffy Duck at one point.
Interesting. I have not
Yeah.
seen it either. Oh, is a good one. CDCB2 asks if you could instantly add a series or movie to any streaming service, what would it be?
An HD version
Oh
of the
my
PVG
God.
movie all the way. Come on, we need it.
That's a tough question because I feel like there's so much stuff that I don't know, there's just like so many ways to access. But hmm. I mean I'll just say Ed and Eddie for HBO Max. I know that's kind of a lame thing, but um, I really love that show, and I want people to discover it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Kids Next Door. Actually, no,
Once it
sorry, Kids
comes
Next
out.
Door too, because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Kids Next Door. Actually, did that come to Boomerang? It might have actually came to Boomerang. I don't even remember. It was supposed to at one point, I think, uh, but yeah, Kids Next Door. I mean, I love Ed and Eddie, but Kids Next Door is a really good show, and I feel like it fits it's almost like closer to more modern Cartoon Network shows, like um
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like Steven Universe, almost like it wasn't heavily serialized by any means, but it did have these ongoing storylines, and it did build on itself, and took itself seriously in ways that more modern Cartoon Network shows do. And I feel like it's just a really good show, that I'm sure a lot of people have missed out on because it hasn't really been on much. So yeah, and Nick's right. Craig of the Creek is very Kids Next Door-esque. In fact, one character even mentions Kids Next Door. uh, Shadow, what got you into Powerpuff Girls from Epic Gamer, the Hedgehog?
Um, honestly, I just saw an episode. I saw an episode on TV, and I just happened to come across it when I was first starting to watch cartoons that were televised, and it just happened to be on. I just instantly fell in love with it. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was it's actually the Rowdy Rough Boys episode, believe it or not, the original Rowdy Rough Boys. That was the episode that kind of sparked my interest in all of Powerpuff Girls.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You've seen the
Nick
Powerpuff
goes,
Girls?
oh, so you have?
Uh,
Yeah, I have seen the Power. I'm surprised you didn't think I did. It's very interesting.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for showing up to Stream Soda episode 2.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's
Yeah.
been a blast. Yeah. No, seriously though, it's been fun. I'm glad we're actually doing this because this has gone over really well. It's fun to talk about streaming and all the various things
Yep.
going on and getting to interact with the chat. I think that's
There's
a
a
lot
lot of really bad things happening in the world right now, and really it just, it's important to take some time away. It's obviously important things are happening, and caring and doing things is great, but every so often you just need to take the time to talk about something stupid and pointless like the Looney Tunes show.
fun.
Not that those cartoons are stupid or pointless, but I just mean in the grand scheme of things, it's not actually affecting anyone, to talk about this stuff. It's good for your mental health, and I really do urge people to just, take time away from social media, watch something enjoyable, refresh yourself, and then come back and, say what you want to say, do what you need to do, be there. Yep, thank you for the super chat, Aziz, and I guess we'll end on one last question from Black Worm. Thanks for the super chat. Where do you see HBO Max a year from now? Oh, my phone is ringing. Where do you see HBO Max a year from now in comparison to competitors such as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime? Do you think they'll own the game?
It's hard to say. I don't know if they would necessarily quote unquote own the game and dominate. I think with the the library that they have and that they can build, they can certainly compete. Like they have a backing between HBO, Warner, all the Warner properties, whether it's DC, Cartoon Network, there's definitely the media properties and outlets there that they can use to push their service and get up there in like the big five or whatever. So it's possible. It's hard to tell right now because it just launched, but I could see it either being, something that just kind of exists for a while and people just don't catch on, or I could see it becoming huge. It could go either way depending on how things play out.
Yeah. Very much so, yeah. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show, but it really is up in the air. If they go full force, if they put tons and tons of content on there, I think they could potentially crush Netflix and Hulu. I think that they have such a wide library that they own, not like rent, but own. And they have such a wide diversity of types of content and demographics and things they're angling for that I really see HBO Max is competing with Netflix in a way that I don't think Disney Plus is really trying to compete with Netflix. I think Disney Plus is trying to do its own thing and aim at a specific thing, and not, like, kind of do what Nintendo does compared to the others two consoles. Like, they're not competing so much as they're like in their own corner doing some great things and taking their own market share. So thank you for that. Also, thanks Pokemon Devotee for the super chat. I don't think X and Y are underrated. I don't really like those games very much.
My short answer is I want to go back to them after playing Gen 7 and 8 because there's a chance I might like them more than those gens. So I want to go back to it. That's definitely on my list of games to play at some point in the future.
All right, so this stream will be archived on the Stream Soda channel probably Monday night tomorrow, and we will be back Sunday at 4 p.m. EST with another live show for you guys. So join us then. Thanks for everyone for showing up.
And don't forget to check out the Discord. There's a link in the description to that as well. So if you want to talk to us or other fans of Stream Soda, feel free. You can suggest us ideas for future episodes on what you'd like to see us cover. So definitely be sure to check that out. But yeah, I think that about wraps up everything we wanted to say. So,
all right. Bye, Guy Rules. Out.
Yep. See ya.